Thank you, Gallery Nuts. A little over 2 years. Jesus. You ever go outside? Hello, hello. Only on Thursdays, that's right.
What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves, we won't let the world burn away, burn away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To blame, haters face the world's mistakes. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. And we feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To blame, haters face the world's mistakes. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway.
Hold on just a second. Let me stop the music. I forgot to turn on the monetization, so give me just a second. It'll be it'll be denied, I'm sure, but it's worth a shot, right? It's basically money on the table. We better at least try it. At least Twitch has me monetized, I guess. I don't know. Losers. Let's go.
Hey daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Thanks for watching. Peace out. Welcome, everybody. I'm Will Bird. This is my show. I don't know. Just put the Karen Reed trial on. Dude, the Karen Reed trial is so wild, dude. We covered it back in the day when it first happened. there's so many crazy things. Like, imagine working in law enforcement, okay? So you kind of know your way around, like, prosecution. One of them works for the ATF. Imagine working in law enforcement. So you know your way around, like, a preservation letter and the court system and how they work, and you're supposed to preserve evidence, right? They've all been to court before. They're cops and detectives and whatever. And you get a letter for a murder case, a capital crime. And you are told to preserve your cell phone and messages. And every fucking person in that house got rid of their phones. One guy drove to a military base, threw his phone out into a restricted military-only area, drove to a dumpster, destroyed his SIM card, and then threw it in the dumpster. Like, that's the guy that works for the ATF. He knows what this means. There's so many crazy things. One of the shadiest things I think I've ever done in court is they were trying to prove that one guy so they had the woman's car. So the claim is that she backed over her husband or her boyfriend at 60 miles an hour during a blizzard. She backed over her husband at 60 miles an hour, and that's what killed him. It looks like what actually happens, he went to the party, and he died. Probably got into a fight or something, he died, and they put him in the yard to make her think that she backed over him, and it's like a big frame job. But one of the shadiest things I've ever seen done actually in court was they were trying to prove that one of the guys that was at the party, that had connections to people at the party, they had her car impounded in a Sallyport. And they were trying to prove that this guy never went to the back passenger side of her car to break her taillight, because she claims the taillight wasn't broken when they took it, or the claim is the taillight wasn't broken when they took it. They broke it and then scattered the evidence there, okay? So they show a video, and they're like, look, right there is the back passenger side taillight. He doesn't do anything to it. It's on video. Right here's the back passenger side taillight. It's on video. Nothing's going on. Nobody touches it. Some guy walks around the other side, the guy they think that broke it. They're like, he walks around the other side, but he doesn't do anything to this side. Then the defense, her lawyer gets up and says, why is the lettering, why are the words in the video backwards? Turns out, to submit this video they submitted, they flipped it. They flipped the video. So what it actually shows is him immediately going to the back passenger side of the car and doing some shit for a couple minutes. They flipped the video and then brought it into court so people would think that we were looking at the passenger side and not the driver's side. Now, that is fucked up. And the defense is like, I don't know how that could have happened. How could that video? I've never seen a flipped video before. That's wild. Or the prosecution, I'm sorry. Like, bullshit. They all called each other right after the murder would have taken place, if there was a murder. They all called each other, like 4 people made like 9 calls to each other, real short, rapid succession. Everybody claims they just butt dialed everybody, right? So no one intended to call anybody. Everybody was just butt dialing everybody. And one of the women that's related to one of the cops that's at the party was literally Googling. So this guy, what they're saying is she backed over him. He was incapacitated. He either died from, I don't know if they're saying he died from the car or he died from the cold because he got snowed on, right? One of the women in the house that claimed he never came in. We never saw him. His girlfriend must have killed him. He was never at this party. One of the women in that house at 3 o'clock in the morning is Googling how long to die in the colds. So there's literally a guy in the front yard that supposedly got backed over, and he's dying in the cold, and she's in the house at a party where they claim they have no idea he's out there, he hasn't been there, and she is Googling on her phone how long to die in the cold. Like, I don't know. They've destroyed so much evidence. They've got so many friends. I think there was a lot of people in on it. The whole local police department, if not like state troopers and shit. I don't know that the right people will ever get convicted, but if this jury, for some reason, returns unanimous guilty against this woman, it's a fucking travesty. She didn't. She didn't do it by herself. If she did it, it was with them. They have destroyed so much evidence. They have gotten rid of so much evidence. There was a claim that he had like a dog bite on him, like there was some scratches and something that looked like a dog bite. They got rid of their beloved family dog they had had for like 20 years, and they won't tell anybody who they gave it to. They're just like, oh, we gave it to somebody. Like, there is so much wrong with this court case. It's just wild to me. I don't know what to say. We covered this. There was a guy that was named like something Frog, E-Frog News, Froggy News, something. There's a guy that we covered that was really into this case. It's just crazy. It is the craziest case I've ever seen. And like, I'm not trying to exaggerate anything. I'm just trying to tell you what's actually going on. It sounds like I'm exaggerating it, like saying everybody that was at that part, Turtle Boy, thank you. I was thinking it was Frog for some reason. Thank you. Everybody that was at that party, every single fucking person that was at that party received a letter to preserve the evidence. And every single fucking person at that party changed phones. What are the odds? Like, if you just calculated the odds, what are the odds that you send fucking 8 people preservation notices and all 8 people go update their phone? Like, what the fuck? And one of them takes it to a military bus, throws it out, or to a military base, throws it out in some restricted area, drives to a dumpster, snaps his SIM card in half, and distributes the pieces across town. Like, it's just so wild. It is so wild. Yeah, we covered it here for like, I think we covered it twice, actually. There was like we covered it once, and then there was like a minor update, and when I started covering it, some people hadn't seen it, so we did it again. Or I think I tried to, yeah, I think I tried to like get people caught up, something like that. I can't remember. But it's a pretty wild case. I don't know if there is like a rundown of it. Hold on before we start. I want to know what you guys think is up with Phil. There are people suggesting that Phil has ran off with the money finally. They're saying Will always said he'd run off with the money. Will always said he'd run off with the money. I guess he finally did. That's people in his chat. Here's the inverted video. Look at this.
Video of Reed's SUV that prosecutors showed to the jury may not be what it seems. This video appears to be flipped. The image of it, the defense says flipped on purpose. News Center 5's David Bienick live at the courthouse in Dedham to explain more. David.
Erica, this revelation came at the end.
I mean, just flipping the video is just flipping the video. So every other video that comes from there is not flipped. So just flipping the video shows that they went ahead and manipulated it in some way. Maybe they didn't edit it. Maybe they didn't change the lighting. Maybe they didn't fucking Photoshop it or whatever. But just flipping it shows that they were trying to do some shit.
End of today's testimony here, and it caught everyone off guard. Some jurors even looked at each other quizzically, and some may have wondered if they'd just been tricked. The video shows police pulling Karen Reed's SUV into the Canton Police Department garage after it was seized as evidence.
By the way, there was also a weird thing with like where they stored this car. So they had it in the Sally Port for a while, and then the local sheriff's department stepped down from the case and let someone else take over, but they still held onto the car for like way too long. And they had like several different places where they could have stored the car. But instead of storing it in those places, they went to a much further place and stored it there where a guy that has interest in the case and the party and was there works. Very weird.
The video appears to show the passenger side, including the passenger side taillight.
So that's the taillight that would have hit him.
Which prosecutors say was damaged after Reed allegedly backed into John O'Keefe and killed him.
I testify that this is a accurate seen.
But under cross-examination, State Police investigator Yuri Buhenik confirmed the video is actually inverted. It shows not the passenger side, but the driver's side of the SUV. At one point, it shows the driver getting out.
Not once did you mention that this video is actually completely inverted.
I did not know.
How did you
I didn't know. I didn't know. Looks just perfect to me.
discover that the image was
I live in an upside down world where everything's flipped.
inverted?
I saw the word police and thought I had dyslexia.
In the video, the word police appears backwards on another vehicle parked in the garage. So does the number.
So if they wouldn't have caught this number mistake, no one would have told them. Everybody would have went in believing that this video was not flipped and this was the passenger side, and for some reason someone got out of the passenger side.
4 on one of the garage's overhead doors. Defense attorney Alan Jackson believes it was no accident.
The timestamp across the bottom is not inverted, which means somebody had to put that on the inverted, the manipulated, the altered video on purpose.
Here is the video again.
So I understand what he's claiming. He's claiming that the timestamp is not inverted, so that means but here's the problem. Some security systems, the timestamp is built in with the video when it's recorded. Other security systems encode the timestamp across all cameras when it's received, right? So if they could claim that this camera is always set up like that, they didn't realize it was inverted, I guess, and that the timestamp's hard encoded from their security system, because someone emailed me about this. And I was like, yeah, it seems really shady. Yeah, it seems like it's manipulated, but I don't think that the timestamp is like 100% dunk.
And after we have uninverted it, what is in fact the passenger side taillight is out of view. And there appears to be somebody standing.
See, look. So if this was the passenger side, that guy just goes over there and does something in the corner. But now that we know this is the driver's side, the entire question is about this back corner. Did someone damage the taillight? The tow truck driver testified that there was no damage to the taillights when he towed the car. So this brings everything into question. Now we can see a guy over there fucking with the area that we're all worried about.
Near it.
Who's the guy in the watch cap, in the winter cap, back there by that right rear tail light the entire time by himself? That's Proctor.
Proctor is Trooper Michael Proctor, the lead investigator on the case. Now, the defense has said
the lead investigator on the case is just hanging out back there at the tail light. No one can prove it was busted. The tow truck driver said it wasn't busted. They tried to show video of them with it. They fucking flipped the video. They're pretty shitty, dude. It seems like I honestly don't, like I said, so much evidence has been destroyed, manipulated. I feel like the sheriff's department probably was in on this, and maybe even bigger than that. That I don't know that they'll ever catch the killer. But there is no way, just looking at the case from the outside, I don't know what jurors think. I don't know what's going through their mind. If this jury, all 12 of them, come back and say guilty on anything, I would have to think that they're buying off jurors. There's just, all you need is a reasonable doubt. And it's like this case is just doubt on top of doubt on top of, why the fuck would he do that? Why are they all destroying evidence? Why did they flip the video? How did they suddenly find her taillight pieces, but they didn't find them the night up, but then suddenly they found them under 3 foot of snow 2 weeks later? Why was she Googling how long to die in the cult? Like, it's all doubt on top of doubt.
he is the one who broke the taillight as part of an effort, they say, to frame Karen Reed. I did reach out to the district attorney's office about that inverted video. They said they would not comment.
I will tell you, there's another story out of, did you guys see where Mass Mutual, so Mass Mutual is a investment company out of Massachusetts. Mass Mutual has agreed to pay like $4.7 million. $4.75 million. You want to know why? Because a YouTuber who goes by the name of Roaring Kitty, who no one knew worked for Mass Mutual, on his own time, with his own research, started the GameStop Investment Bros movement, basically. He's like the father of it. Doing YouTube videos, his own time, his own research, started it. That hurt the hedge fund managers. So now the state of Massachusetts is going after the company he works for at his day job. But literally no one knew he worked for an investment company. He would just say that he had experience in investing and this was his show. He plays like a silly character, like a guy that gets all excited and he fucking wears headbands and crazy hairstyles and shit. Like no one knew he was a professional at Mass Mutual. And then the motherfucker, they are fining his company. Here's what it says. Mass Mutual Investment subsidiary has agreed to pay $4.75 million to resolve allegations by Massachusetts securities regulators, including that it failed to supervise its agents. Among them, the social media persona Roaring Kitty, whose online post helped spark January's trading frenzy in GameStop. Isn't that crazy? Massachusetts, what the fuck are you? This is an old story. It's like from 2 years ago or something, 3 years ago. But it was after the GameStop thing, and I don't think people really covered it as much as they should have. Like, Oompa just did a video on it as well. That's just wild. It's wild. They just don't want people fucking with the hedge funds, right? They don't want people fucking with their retirement or the wealthy people's money. I don't know. There's so much in this is Massachusetts. I don't want to be the red pill guy that's like, it's all corrupt, throw it out. But the Karen Reed stuff is wild. Is wild. I wish that we could just get like a rundown. A night out turned to nightmare. Let's see what this person says. The bizarre. Oh, that's that chapter. I'll probably get a strike for it, but we'll try it. I have to refresh, so I'm watching it. Listen to all the crazy stuff in this case.
Welcome. My name is Mike, and in this video, we are heading.
Rye loves this guy's channel. Talks about the videos on his channel all the time. He's actually a really good YouTuber.
Off to Boston, where in the wee hours of January the 29th, 2022, a then 42-year-old woman named Karen Reed.
And to be fair, more stuff has come out since this was published 10 months ago.
Found her boyfriend, John O'Keefe's body, laying on a snowbank with no idea of how he got there. Or did she? This is a big old dun-dun-dun video because just hours after his body was found, she would find herself with bracelets around her wrists.
You're right,
to the intrigue is John O'Keefe being an active Boston PD officer at the time of his death. Now, the thing about this case is usually when, someone is accused of murder and they're like, I'm being framed, it's a setup. It's pretty sensible to just take those ravings and be like, yeah, sure you are. Right, yeah, the good old framing job. Except in this one, it's a little bit different. There could be some fireball.
By the way, I'm pretty sure I heard the expert witnesses said, now when you see, there's some security. Hold on, let me show you this. I'm almost positive they said that she would have to hit him to launch him onto where he was found. She would have had to hit him at 60 miles an hour. 60. Now look at this. Tell me in these conditions, somehow she got a 60-mile-an-hour run and go.
It's the defendant. She's here. And he
prosecute
to that
to suggest
Trying to get to the footage.
she ran her car into him. A forensic pathologist.
We will watch that
finds
chapter video or whatever.
significant blunt force trauma injuries.
Here it is.
after
Yes.
John O'Keefe dies.
Well, same day.
Same day,
Yeah, but
early morning hours.
closer to 5 a.m. Right. He's
Okay.
alleged to have been hit around midnight, 12:15, 12:30.
Okay.
This happens, this video, 5 a.m., a little bit before 5 a.m. Ring camera video from the victim's home where his girlfriend, Reed, was staying the night. So this is what the video, here it is, Vinny. So she's pulling out in the black SUV.
Look at these conditions. Do you think on a neighborhood street, she got up to 60 miles an hour? Could she even see him? You know how hard it is to see out your back window, right? It's not supposed to be tinted, Any light hitting it fucks it up. It's probably got ice and snow on it by the time it's been driving around a little bit because they went to like a bar or something before this and came out. You think she's getting up to 60 miles an hour to run over her boyfriend in this?
And that's
on a
the
residential
victim's
street?
SUV parked. And the defense says that she makes contact, hits the victim's SUV.
By the way, this is interesting because if there is damage to the taillight, it could be right here.
SUV. And that's the victim's SUV parked.
What's the SUV
And the
move?
defense says that she makes contact, hits the victim's SUV right there,
Yeah.
damaging that back right passenger side taillight. And And the defense says that she makes, here it is, Vinny. So she's pulling out in the black SUV. And that's the victim's SUV parked. And the defense says that she makes contact, hits the victim's SUV right.
So if the car does move there, right? So if there is damage to that tail light in any way, shape, or form, it could easily be from this.
There, damaging that body, you can tell.
Got it. Once again,
but these are the conditions that day. Again, this is like 5 o'clock in the morning. It's supposed to happen at midnight, but it was a snowstorm. You're telling me she got up to 60 miles an hour. They'd both been drinking. They'd been out partying. They went to a bar, whatever. She got up to 60 miles an hour in reverse and was able to hit him, somehow slam on the brakes before hitting anything else, drive away, and nobody heard it. Nobody's seen it. Everybody just found him the next day.
Behind the smoke in this whole video, so you know what? Let's give it a go.
Yeah, please consider supporting the show. If you would, go to coldbeer.fund. That website's a little wonky right now, but all these links still work. Like if you click on Buy Me a Coffee, it goes to Buy Me a Coffee. I don't know, something happened with my background. You know, it used to be purple and stuff, so now everything's kind of wonky looking, but it doesn't matter. I don't process your credit card anyways. One of these partners do. Dono Clip somewhere. Go check it out. Support the show if you can. That's how we keep them going. We'd appreciate it. What's up, you idiot?
So to Boston we go, or rather Canton in Norfolk County to be exact, just south of the city. Fun fact, Canton is actually the home of the headquarters of Dunkin' Donuts because Boston runs on Dunkin'. So, Karen Reed. 43-year-old Karen was a finance lecturer at Bentley University in Massachusetts, which is the same university she attended as a student, and also an equity analyst at Fidelity. Trying to figure out what an equity analyst actually does for a living. I mean, I gave it a bit of a go, but it's really, really boring. But you know what? It pays like over 100 grand a year, so I'll take the boring. Sure. Long story short, our Karen, who I'm not sure if you bothered to, was dating. She was seeing 46-year-old John O'Keefe, Officer John O'Keefe. They'd been together for about 2 years by the time our story takes place in January 2022. This story is still ongoing, so details are a little bit sketchy. Basically, like in everything, right? You have two sides of the story. You have the prosecution and you have the defense. Both
equity analysts. There's actually two different. I know somebody that's an equity analyst. There's actually two different types of equity analysts, and you might do both if you work for a smaller firm. But there's buy side and sell side, or buy analysts and sell analysts, to where they literally analyze how much equity is in something and when would probably be the best time to buy or sell it, right? So you're looking for a low price to get the most equity while you're buying. You're looking for a high price to get the most equity out of it while you're selling. But could we wait and buy it because the market's going to take a dip? Could we wait because the weather changes, or it's a beach property and they sell cheaper in the winter? I don't fucking know. But basically they just sat and analyze assets and how much equity would be in these assets at different times when we buy or sell them.
Very plausible. But what no one disputes is the setup to this case, which is that on the night in question, January 28th, Karen Reed and John O'Keefe.
I used houses as an example, but they're usually doing it with like mutual funds and stocks and shit, portfolios.
Were out with friends and had visited the Waterfall Bar in downtown Canton before heading for drinks at the house of an acquaintance of John's, but they didn't really know each other that well. This after party was at 34 Fairview Road. That was the home of Brian Albert, fellow Boston cop.
So it was people that they knew casually, but they didn't know them that well. So they went out to a bar, they met up with these people, and they left the bar to go to an after party, which is this big ass house that is also owned by people related to the police.
And star of Boston's finest.
Myrna's chosen the head of the fugitive unit, Brian Albert, to help plan the operation.
What do you anticipate we should have for the houses, for the body warrants? You're going to want at least 6 to 8 cops.
Well, look at you. They're obviously both Brian Albert and John O'Keefe were both cops. John O'Keefe met Brian Albert that night through a woman named Jennifer McCabe. Jennifer was a longtime friend.
Merbird gifted Night Stalker a subscription. Merbird gifted a tier 1 sub to MSZ Night Stalker.
I hate you.
They have given 25 gift subs in the channel.
So much.
John's, but was also Brian Albert's sister-in-law. Brian was married to a woman named Nicole, Jennifer, Nicole's sister. So that's how they all knew each other.
Holy shit. Q Idiot, thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Anyways, they weren't exactly tight, but Brian Albert being a cop, John O'Keefe being a cop, yeah, they're one of them. So out that night was John, Karen, Brian, his wife Nicole, and Jennifer and her husband Matthew, having a good time at the bar. After the bar closed, well, after party time. Plan was, the gang of them, they go back to Brian's house, have a few drinks there, and this was just after midnight. What happens next then depends kind of like on which side of the argument you come down on. And it all hinges on whether John O'Keefe walked through the door of Brian Albert's home. Some people say...
So their claim is that he never came in, he was never with them, they never did anything together, that he never made it to the party, he was just backed over and killed in the yard.
He did. Some people say he didn't, because hours later at 6 a.m., John O'Keefe's body was found on the snowbank outside Brian Albert's home.
Officer John O'Keefe, who was off duty, was found dead on Fairview Road yesterday morning in front of a friend's house. State police were at the scene last night investigating this. At this point, it's not clear how he died. An autopsy is set for tomorrow. O'Keefe was a 16-year veteran of the Boston Police Department. The department released a statement on the death of Officer O'Keefe, which reads in part, John will be greatly missed by his friends and colleagues here at the Boston Police Department as we send our heartfelt condolences to his family and loved ones during this difficult time.
Karen, she had been out that night. She was going to drop her fella John off at the house and head back herself. She swears she saw him walk through the front door of Brian Albert's home. However, Jennifer McCabe and Brian Albert swear he never entered the house. They've been calling and texting him to no response. Hours later, then Karen, she was looking for him. She went back. His body was found. He was dead, blunt force injury, traumatic injury. Now let's get into the two sides of this twisted story. Let's start with what the state claims. The state's narrative goes like this. Karen and John argued after a night out drinking, and when he got out of the car to go into a party at a fellow officer's house, Karen, she lost it. She reversed her SUV, hitting John O'Keefe, killing him, striking him into the snowbank. His body then lay there until it was found hours later. They also allege she was drunk at the time, which she denies.
So that's their claim. Backed into him, knocked him like so many feet off the road. He laid there. He died in the cold. Knocked him out of his shoe. There's an issue with the taillight pieces were found way too close to him, which is a ways off the road, which they claim he was knocked that far. But if you hit him with a taillight and you knock him, the taillight pieces don't go with him. You know what I mean? But the road had been plowed since then, so it's hard to say.
Two Canton police officers, Darragh and Mulaney, they arrived at the address just after 6 a.m. and there they found 3 women. Apparently when the officers arrived, 2 of the women were trying to give John O'Keefe CPR to no avail. The police found him cold to the touch, and not really. Karen now was originally charged with manslaughter, that she'd hit him with the car and accident and killed him, maybe in an accident or in a drunken rage or something like that. Something which she might have actually believed at the time, but we'll get back to that.
Karen Reed pleaded not guilty on charges connected to his death. During a court appearance, prosecutors say the couple had been out drinking the night before, saying when Reed found her boyfriend in the snow the following day.
What's weird is it's almost like, to me, it makes me seem like either one of two things happened. Either they just lost their fucking minds after the guy died, which makes me think that this is not something they've done before. They're not regularly killing people and framing other people because they lost their minds. Or they thought that she wouldn't fight it, that she would talk to a lawyer and the lawyer would say, oh, yeah, well, they got so much evidence on you, you're better off taking a plea deal. Because if they were well-versed in this and calm, and it's something they often did, they wouldn't have made so many fucking stupid mistakes, right? It seems like they had a panic after he died.
She questioned whether she'd hit him with her car.
The charges were then upped 4 months later to the murder charges she faces today. She was arraigned where she entered a plea of not guilty. Now the most damning...
By the way, there's also a claim that the paramedics and some people on scene claim that she says, I hit him, I did it, I hit him. And there's other people saying, oh, my God, could I? The other people are saying she said, oh, my God, could I have hit him? Could I have done this? Oh, no.
Evidence for the prosecution is Karen's own words. That night after she dropped John off, she went home, hadn't heard from him, was going back. She was on the phone to Jennifer McCabe and she was saying something like, I could have hit him. Maybe I hit him. Karen claimed she was in shock at the time. She was just trying to work out what could have happened to John. Also, when she arrived back at the house...
Right. Could I have hit him? Did I hit him? Oh, no.
Karen was the first person to find...
Because everything would go through your mind, right?
...his body, which, they say, oh, well, he must have already known where he was because nobody else could find him. She described the moment of finding him, that John's eyes were swollen shut and blood was coming out of his nose. Not only did she raise the question of hitting John with the car, but apparently when officers arrived, she repeatedly said to the paramedics at the scene, I hit him. Once again, Karen's lawyers have said, that was just her trying to rationalize what could have actually happened to her boyfriend of 2 years, but it's not exactly a good look to admit at the scene of the crime. To the thing you're now accused of doing. The prosecution have also entered into evidence chunks of the taillight from Karen's SUV, which is, broke.
To be fair, if it was whiteout conditions, you dropped him off, then you turned around like a 3-point turn, and he was found there in the garage, and everybody's telling you, we never saw him, he never made it here. Wouldn't you question that? Is there a chance that I could have hit him? Like, imagine you drop somebody off in a weird situation where you have to, back out of a driveway and they have to walk behind your car, too. You think you see them walk away, but then the next day you find out they never made it to the house, they're dead in the driveway. Wouldn't you immediately think, oh, my God, could it have been me?
When she hit John O'Keefe. Now, the defense, however, have asked for that evidence to examine it themselves, but they haven't done it. It's another polarizing piece of evidence, with anyone in favor of the prosecution's argument saying it's evidence that Karen backed into John, right? It's an open and shut case. She was going to drop him off, drunk, fighting, she hit him, she drove off, maybe she forgot, she went back looking for him, she found him. But the defense say it's kind of implausible that she could have actually hit him outside the house. Well, first of all, it was like a 3-point turn she was doing. The broken taillight on Karen's car was on the right side, but...
A 60-mile-an-hour 3-point turn, by the way.
If she was doing a 3-point turn and she hit John, she should have broken the left taillight. And second of all, the speed she would have had to have been going at to kill him wouldn't have been possible. Then there's those injuries again. Karen said John's eyes were swollen shut and his nose...
Imagine, how do you do... So he wasn't ran over. He was blunt strike is what their claim is. How could you even hit somebody hard enough to fully incapacitate them doing a 3-point turn in the snow? So their house, she could have kept driving. She was unfamiliar with where the house is. Their road actually goes somewhere, and she could have just went that way. But where she thought it was a cul-de-sac or a dead end, she did a 3-point turn.
Nose bloodied, which doesn't sound too much like someone who'd been backed into. In fact, in order to inflict those injuries, or even anything close, the car would have had to been going quite fast, which doesn't make sense in the situation that it was in and the conditions and all that. There's also a whole bunch of conflicts of interest in this case. The officer who filed the initial charges against Karen Reed, an officer, a trooper Proctor, is saying he's a close family friend of Brian Albert and Jennifer McCabe's. He's also the one responsible for discovering Karen's SUV having a broken taillight and then having it towed away. So that begins the questions being raised as to what actually happened. First of all, the circumstances make it unclear how she could have killed him, even though
too many friends in on this.
And secondly, the people investigating this case are close friends with the other people at the scene, so therefore it would make sense to not draw a light on them. Because that's the other side of the argument. It's not hard to see why so many questions are being raised, and why so many people see the evidence and the prosecution's case as a whole as being somewhat tainted. The connections between pivotal figures in the case, it was dragged to the forefront by the defense recently when they asked the judge hearing the case to recuse her.
And again, it's gotten worse. Since this video was made 10 months ago, now that everything's in court, there's even more evidence that they're fucking with everything.
Herself, as they believed she had a close personal connection to someone involved in the case, something the judge...
The only claim they've got of why they all upgraded or destroyed their phones and got rid of all the evidence after is that they've got something else scandalous like, oh, I'm cheating on my wife. What are they going to say?
Flat out denied before dismissing the motion to have her removed from the case. It does kind of seem like everybody involved in this is in shenanigans with each other. They're all in cahoots.
Inside, prosecutor Adam Lally requested the defense team no longer speak to the media.
The hyperbole or the language that's been used on the steps of this courthouse in reference to Commonwealth having its foot on the defendant's throat.
The defense lashing out at that.
How dare...
So they're saying, hey, the prosecution or the defense should no longer be allowed to talk to the media. They said that the state here has their foot on her neck. Well, yeah, that's called freedom of speech, motherfuckers. There's a difference between a certain former president trying to intimidate witnesses from taking a stand because it'll ruin their life and saying, hey, she's being railroaded.
The prosecution tried to prohibit defense counsel from doing our jobs. How dare they ask this court to take away our First Amendment right to free speech?
All this happened after defense attorneys had accused the judge of appearing biased against them, asking she remove herself from the case because of an internet post saying she allegedly knows potential prosecution witnesses, something she strongly denied.
And I want to make it very clear that I reject the notion that untrue and unsubstantiated rumors spread on the internet can force a judge to recuse herself from a case.
And that is why some are saying this is a giant cover.
Actually, that can. So if there's a strong enough belief, whether they're rumors or not, saying that this person said they know the witnesses, or I know that they know this witness, or they know this person, or they're in on it too. If you have a strong case that you don't want ruined by something like that, that can cause a judge. Sometimes it's better off to recruit yourself, even if it's not true. Even if it's not true, step back, step away from it, let someone else take, so that won't be a tarnish on the prosecution. Right, so that won't lead it into an appeal immediately.
And Karen Reed is being framed for the murder of her boyfriend, Officer John O'Keefe. Because on the surface, it's open and shut. She'd been drinking, she hit him, she made statements to back up that, end of story. But then you dig a little deeper under the surface, and there's so much more going on here. Let's get into that.
This is the part we wanted to hear.
Specialist Richard Green, who found that in the hours before John O'Keefe's body was found, at 2:27 a.m., someone used a phone belonging to Jennifer McCabe, sister-in-law of the owner of the house, Brian Albert, to search on Google, how long to die in the cold.
This right here is so crazy. So the person they're claiming did this wasn't even there. There's no question she went home. So why would Jennifer McCabe be at the party Googling how long to die in the cold at 3 a.m.?
Yikes. Yeah, that's not a good look. And according to Karen's lawyers, of course, has no innocent explanation, unless people at the party in the house knew John was missing or injured. Because remember, Karen says she saw him walk into the house. So what could have happened in the house where John O'Keefe would end up dead outside? Adding even more fuel to the cover-up fire is that the defense have a sworn affidavit from a forensic examiner stating that not only did the seriously suspicious Google search happen, but the same witness states that several phone calls between Jennifer McCabe's phone and a phone belonging to Brian Albert were deleted, along with a screenshot of Brian Albert's contact information. The defense...
Okay. So several phone calls back and forth between all these people at the party. They're at a party. I don't know why they're calling each other. And so several phone calls, and she deleted this guy's contact information as if they weren't friends or had each other's numbers. And that's all been recovered by forensic analysts. You know what their claim is? It was all butt dials. All of them butt dialed each other at the same time while this guy was in their yard dying, and they had no idea about it. Butt dial deleting contacts, butt dial calling each other back. That's their defense. It was all butt dials.
Seems to think that Jennifer McCabe, she played a pivotal role in the cover-up of whatever really happened. The defense is even accusing Jennifer McCabe of going into, when they were looking for John, when Karen Reed went back, that she was like delaying them from finding his body.
Sergeant Albert cut his teeth as a Marine in Operation Desert Storm. He views his work back in Boston as equally important.
Karen's attorneys claim that Brian Albert is a highly trained boxer and fighter, and has deep familial and personal ties to the Canton PD and the Massachusetts State Police. So the defense is clearly trying to, look at the people who were in the house that night.
Karen Reed herself doubling down, of course, saying she did not do this. She wants to know who did.
So it feels we're the only ones fighting for the truth of what happened to John O'Keefe. And me and my family and my attorneys and my team have marshaled every resource to get to the truth. It just feels like no one else wants it.
God, I do think she's innocent, but their accents make me hate them all.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
Yes, we do. And no, she didn't do it. No, she didn't do it. This is an innocent woman. She didn't do it.
I tried to save his life. Yeah. I tried to save his life at 6 in the morning. I was covered in his blood. I was the only one trying to save his life.
Why do you admit to it? She didn't admit to it. She didn't admit to anything close to that. Nothing close to that. And you should know that.
That was like 3 or 4 times.
No, she didn't.
That's not true.
She asked a question. She asked a question, which is very different. She didn't admit to anything.
They've said several times that police never considered anyone else a suspect, including Brian Albert and Jennifer McCabe, despite them giving several incriminating statements. A witness in the area saw Karen and John in the car, but didn't hear any kind of crash, didn't hear a scream, didn't see any kind of damage to Karen's car, and she drove off. And
weird. Didn't hear anything.
John O'Keefe's Apple Health also recorded his movements that night. It showed him in the area of Brian Albert's home. It said he took multiple steps at elevation, the equivalent of climbing 3 flights of stairs. There were 3 flights of stairs in the Albert home. And if he'd been hit by Karen's car before he made it into the house, then he wouldn't have taken as many steps as it showed he did. The deleted phone calls, the Google searches, by the way, that was
Oh, by the way, that's another thing. I forgot to cover this. His cell phone data shows him taking enough steps. Now, cell phone data is not super accurate, right? We know that. Sometimes it'll show you in a building when you're not in a building, and over here when you're actually over there, and it takes it. But his cell phone data shows him taking enough steps to clearly be inside the house for a while, or way past the house or something. And he changes in elevation as if he went upstairs a couple times in the house. So unless somebody was out there just throwing his fucking phone in the air, I don't know how they're going to explain that. But if you take from what I've seen from other people cover, that his cell phone data shows him with enough steps to go in the house, go upstairs twice, walk around the house, hang out, then back out in the yard.
Found by the defense, not the prosecution. Even though the prosecution had Jennifer McCabe's phone for a year, they just never examined it. Why would they? Sure, this is an open and shut case. Karen Reed clearly hit into him with the car.
They had her phone for a year, never pulled anything off of it.
One more thing that's been brought up in the public kind of discussion about this case is the serious lack of CCTV evidence, which is something we've gotten used to in these kinds of cases with the rise of Ring doorbell footage and all that. Namely, one thing CCTV footage would clear up is whether or not Karen's taillight was broken before or after she went to Brian Halbert's house. If Karen's taillight could be proven to be broken at a time when she was not at the house, well then she clearly didn't hit him. I mean, that's one of the key pieces of evidence, is that her taillight is broken, so therefore she hit him. The defense are even claiming they've been denied footage from the library in town, which would give them an indication exactly of when her taillight was broken.
We're asking for evidence. Evidence that's material, evidence that's relevant.
So they're fighting them to check CCTV footage. They know that she drove these different places. They know there's a chance that one of these cameras caught it. They won't give them access to it.
Evidence that's salient to a third-party culpability offense.
Trooper Proctor may well be key to finding out exactly what did happen to John in the early hours of the 29th of January 2022. Another thing about the lack of CCTV footage is the house directly across from Brian Albert's. The Canton Deputy Police Chief lives there, and he has a Ring doorbell camera. He says it captured nothing, and the footage was never requested. So
the police chief lives across the street, probably the best view of what happened that night, has a Ring doorbell camera. The cops ask him, "Hey, did you catch anything?" He's like, "No." They don't check it. They don't look at it. They don't request it. They don't download it. No, I didn't catch anything. I already looked.
Karen's own Ring doorbell, however, might provide an answer as to how the taillight came to be broken if it wasn't from hitting John. Footage from the doorbell outside the couple's home clearly shows Karen accidentally backing into John's car on the way out to search for him. It was only hours later, after Trooper Proctor had impounded Karen's car, that pieces of taillight were supposedly found at the scene. The pieces of taillight which were found at the scene weren't discovered during the initial search. It was only like a search hours later that they were discovered by Trooper Proctor. And then there's the small matter of the disappearing dog.
By Trooper Proctor. Very weird.
In particular, Brian Albert's German Shepherd, Chloe. At one hearing, Karen Reed's attorney showed the court images of marks on John O'Keefe's arm. The defense asserted that John was in a fight with someone in the house and claimed that these marks are evidence the victim was attacked by a dog during the fight.
Prosecutors say are from the accident, but the defense believes they're from a dog attack.
Don't worry, they got rid of that dog and they can't tell you where it's at.
The Commonwealth has always maintained that it's a road rash on his arm. No one's ever said that, but counsel for the defendant. As far as the injuries are concerned to Mr. O'Keefe's right arm and right forearm, they've always and consistently been described as aspirations caused by blunt force trauma.
They requested DNA.
abrasions caused by blunt force trauma. How do you get those big, long fucking scratches like that? By being hit by a car. Blunt force abrasions.
From the dog, but the dog has been rehomed out of state.
He owns a dog. We have specific evidence. Talk about specificity. Specific evidence from one of the country's.
The family dog, which they post about and talk about how much they love. Right after this happens, they rehome it out of state. Can't tell you where it's at. Sorry.
Pathologists indicating that John O'Keefe's arm was mauled by a dog. John O'Keefe's, Brian Albert's dog was a 90-pound German Shepherd. Oh, by the way, Brian Albert made sure to get rid of that dog in the months following John O'Keefe's death. After that dog had literally been with the family for some 7 or 8 years.
They wanted more access to the house.
Dog of 8 years. Right, gone right after this guy dies.
Brian Albert sold the house. He sold the house for $50,000 less than asking in the middle of a housing crisis in Massachusetts. So not only was the house not researched at the time.
During a housing crisis where people were paying above asking, he took a $50,000 loss on the house to sell it.
Now can't be searched.
Brian Albert is integrally involved in the death of John O'Keefe. He is implicated in the death of John O'Keefe. Jennifer McCabe is equally implicated in the death of John O'Keefe and the subsequent cover-up of that death.
So that is the two sides to the story.
So he could have just replaced it, but instead he got all that.
One, Karen Reid backed into John and killed him. Problems with that are she probably wouldn't have been going fast enough to kill him. Definitely wouldn't have been going fast enough to hit him so that he knocked into a snowbank. And it seems like her taillight would have already been broken, which is the key indication that she did hit him. Or the second side of the story is John did go into the house, Brian Albert's house, and maybe something happened in that house, which ended up with John O'Keefe's body being dumped outside. But the problem with that is if something did happen in the house, the idea was just to dump his body outside and get lucky with a cover-up. At her bail hearing, Karen Reid's lawyers asked the judge to lower bail to $5,000, citing a whole heap of health issues they say Karen has been suffering from. The various ailments include a brain tumor, multiple sclerosis, and colitis, which is like, fair play to you. The judge gave that an but Karen would be released anyway on the 2nd of February after posing $50,000 bail. This case is whack. Like I said, on the surface, it's just a simple whatever, but then you dive underneath and it seems like everybody is in cahoots.
It's pretty wild. Check out this channel. It's called That Chapter. He covers a lot of true crime and stuff. He's a pretty cool guy. Mariah likes his channel. I watch it sometimes when it's a topic that I'm interested in. I don't know. The Karen Reid case is pretty wild. All right, let's get off that because I'll never stop talking about it, okay? Let's check out Phil. Where has Phil been? Where's Philip? Well, we're about to find out. Phil is on another vacation. Oh, it's /C/Phil Godlewski. Is it not? Oh, /Phil Godlewski 2.0 or some shit. Benjamin Fulford 107, Phil Godlewski 2.0. That's it. Let's see. We covered 34. So I'm assuming we've got Q&A from out of town. I think there'll probably be some. Oh my God. Stop it.
Other than that, Rumble has so.
Phil's built different. That's the truth for sure. Phil is built different.
Okay, can everybody hear me? Probably gonna get a bit of an echo tonight, so just have to deal with that. Everybody hear me okay? I'm just gonna wait for people to respond. There's a delay between the live and Rumble. I don't know why there's a delay. Yes, we can hear you. Yes. Volume is low.
You don't know why there's a delay between Rumble chat and your live stream? Easy there, Edward Snowden.
Up your volume because I can't do anything else about mine. This is the best that's gonna come in. Volume low but clear. Okay, Rumble has a little volume button. You might have to turn that up and then also turn your device up too. That's the best I can tell you because I really can't do too much other than that. Up all the way. Okay, well, it is what it is. We're here, we're gonna do it anyway. Pretty sure you guys can hear me. Let me see if I can hear my cell phone. One sec. If I hit play. Ow. So Gary and I are down here in, wait, ow. So oh yeah, what's it guys? Gary and I are down here and it's plenty loud. That's as loud as it's gonna get. So yeah, video might be a little bit blurry. I don't know if I don't know if that did anything or not. I don't know. I'm not dealing with the best conditions down here. First of all, I'm in Jamaica, and Jamaica doesn't have the greatest internet, so it could be the fact that we don't have good internet. It could also be that I'm on a laptop, which I'm never on. So we're dealing with all these factors, but we're gonna get the Q&A done anyway. I know it's a little echoey, I know it's a little blurry, but we'll be able to get everything in tonight. So if you haven't yet, go to Telegram and vote on the topics for tonight. I'll give everybody one more chance to do that now before I get started. If you go to my Telegram channel, the announcements channel, as we call it, which is the main channel, it'll say fake next to it. It'll say Phil Godlewski 3.0, and then in a little red box, it should say fake. It's not fake. The Telegram doesn't actually have any employees, so I can't get it changed. It's all automated. It's ridiculous. But nonetheless, the channel...
Telegram doesn't have any employees. By the way, when this first happened, he said he knew the owner of Telegram, and he would have fake removed within a couple hours. That was, what, 2 years ago?
Has right now 393,966 subscribers, so that's the one that you should be on. There's a post there. It's the second post up from the most recent one that I just posted with some 10 choices that you could choose from for the topics of tonight's live. So out of those 10, I'm going to pick the top 5, and then you guys are going to ask me questions surrounding that particular topic. I'll go through the chat and take questions that deal with that particular topic, whatever it is. So get over to Telegram, got about 5 minutes before we get started here, and make that vote. And in the meantime, why don't you guys tell me where you're from? Albany, Oregon. Boston Bay. Busan, Korea. Cool. Ontario, Canada. Connecticut. Mechanicsburg, Ohio. Matthews, NC. What? South Korea? Really? Yes. Van Buren, Ohio. Denmark. 2 different people. Annapolis, Maryland. Hollywood, Maryland. Prescott, Arizona. Brookfield, Wisconsin. Tecumseh, Michigan. Galveston, Texas. Norway. Terre Haute, Indiana. Statesboro, Georgia. Mesa, Arizona. Italy. Phoenix, Arizona.
By the way, the reason people were talking about that roaring kitty guy, the GameStop guy again, is because I guess GameStop stock rallied like billions of dollars because of some stuff that he put out that he's still holding his GameStop stock to the moon. He believes in the company, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, they were, Mass Mutual were fined almost $5 million for it. People are crazy.
Arizona, Elkhart, Indiana, Sweden, Oxford, Ohio, Holland, Michigan, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, Sebring, Florida with PH. That'd be cool. We should rename Florida to PH. I think that's a great idea, actually. Gary said the camera's really bad, so let's see if this helps.
Yeah, much better.
Hopefully that helps. I don't know.
Just keep doing that.
Much better. Look at me. I look like a movie star. Holy cow, look at that complexion.
Why did you say it like that? In chat, tell me, why did he say complexion? Listen how he says this.
Hopefully that helped. I don't know. Oh, yeah, much better. Look at me. I look like a movie star. Holy cow, look at that complexion.
Look at that complexion. That complexion. What the fuck? Freudian slip. Holy cow, look at that complexion. Like that. I only watched like the first 5 minutes of his fucking stream, and that was I couldn't get past this part. Look at that complexion. Why? Why? Who would ever say it like that? Complexion. Look at that complexion. Why? Phil, what are you trying to tell us? Phil's trying to be the next Nick Rekieta.
Just out of this world. Out of this world. So impressed with myself.
Complexion.
Venus, that's probably fake. Oro Valley.
Look at that semen on my face.
Arizona. Peoria, Arizona. Plum, Pennsylvania. Tomball, Texas. Minster, Ohio. A couple more. Key West. Cape Breton Island. Hoboken, New Jersey. And one final one. London, England. Cool. All right, obviously we have a global audience.
Tonight's all about the money shot.
Tonight, really, really cool. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you don't know me by now, my name is Phil Godlewski, and I am the greatest of all time. The greatest of all time, and I dare someone to challenge me, and I'll be awaiting that challenge. Anyway, I'm just kidding. I'm very sarcastic at times, and I'm
very humble.
To be funny, but I'm not. So that's a fault of mine, but it is what it is. No, truthfully speaking, I got involved with this, as you guys know, right after the election fraud in 2020. I started speaking my mind on social media. About 4 or 5 years before that, I got involved in a different level with a wide-range grassroots dissemination operation to try to educate the public as to what was really happening in the world around them, and that the mainstream media outlets that they were otherwise.
So he's just outright saying, "Yep, here we go. I was part of the Q movement." Phil had no idea who Q was after Biden's election. He's like, "Have you guys heard about this Q guy? Maybe I should start covering him."
Watching, we're not accurately reporting the truth. And what happens then is you have a society, or multiple societies across the world, that believe in lies. And how else are you supposed to know the truth unless the media is reporting it to you? So, and I'm not just talking about...
I'll be right back. You guys tell me what he said. I got to restart the dryer.
Started censoring right around the 2020 mark. As we all know, many of us have lost our accounts on social media. So we decided that there had to be a way to bypass the mainstream media and speak directly to the people of the world. And we have done exactly that. I started on Facebook right after the election. We have about 50 or 100 people watching me. That went up to about 10,000 on Facebook before I got booted off around election day. I think the max I ever had on Facebook was around 15,000, 20,000. Then I got booted off. Actually, it was Inauguration Day, not Election Day. Facebook got rid of my account, so we went over to YouTube. That didn't take long. YouTube completely crushed my account as well because they're, obviously very woke. And we ended up on DLive for a while, Twitch for a little while, got kicked out there. Then we found home on Rumble. Most of you guys are watching right now on Rumble. And we went to some other platforms as well, locals, obviously. I still have a Facebook group, but it's an invite-only group. Quite a bit of people watch there, actually. But yeah, so that's what we've been doing for the last many years now, and we're going to continue to do that. So just to follow up on my previous live, we talked about, we're just going to try to package this in a little 30-second bundle. We talked about the recent convictions of Donald Trump with the 34 felonies that he was convicted of. And we talked about how, again, the way that the mainstream media is reporting it and the way that it's being presented to us
Check out my complexion.
Wasn't the full truth of the matter. So we are in a world right now that we've never seen before. We've never seen the type of PSYOP, which is a psychological operation that's taking place to humanity right now.
Okay. I just thought of a bird curse story that I got to tell you guys before we move forward anymore. We will finish the film video. Let me explain this to you. So I went to Lowe's today, and this is why I don't go out in public. I feel like people are testing me to see what will happen if they push me far enough. I think it might be like a CIA plot. I'm not exactly positive of that, but something's definitely going on, okay? So here's what we got. This is Lowe's Pro Desk. I have a Lowe's Pro card. I know you can't read desk, but just Lowe's Pro. I have a Lowe's Pro card, so I have to go to the Lowe's Pro Desk. Okay? Everybody tracking so far? Now, when you go to the Lowe's Pro Desk, here are the doors. Even though they don't swing open, I'll show them as swinging. Here are the doors, right? So this is for traffic in and out. And right here is a desk that is Pro Customer Service. You go here if you want a new card, you want to sign up for a Pro account, you want to do whatever. Sometimes when it's really busy, they'll check people out, but not typically, okay? So that's the Lowe's Pro Customer Service. Now, there are two aisles, right? There are two checkouts right here, okay? There's one there on an angle. That's why I'm drawing them on an angle. 1 and 2. And this is Pro 1 and Pro 2. Now, if it's really backed up, anybody can check out here. But typically, these are reserved for people with Lowe's Pro card, like contractors, right? Is that a contractor checkout? Then over here, there is a double checkout. That's just for regular customers. Number 1 on this side, number 2 on this side. Okay? Everybody following? Now, I get $1,000 worth of stuff to put on my contractor Lowe's account, and I come up, the line's not moving, or there's somebody in line at 2, so I go to 1. Lowe's Pro Desk number 1. The lady spends approximately, 8 minutes trying to add everything up. I even tell her she misses a couple things, and I'm like, hey, make sure you get 2 of these. It's not my money. It's going on the Pro card for the business or whatever. You missed 2 of these. I don't want to get, accused of trying to hide them from you. I help her count the boards that I had. I did a price check for her because I took a picture of the SKU and she couldn't ring it up right because it was on sale. Like, very helpful. Polite, helpful, whatever. Now, I go to hand her my Pro card, Lowe's Pro card, my contractor credit card for the company. And she says, okay, just need to see your ID. And I said, no problem. I'm listed on the account. My name is William Bird. She takes my ID. She looks at the computer. She looks back at me. She looks at the computer. She looks back at me and says, oh, no, you're not listed. We need the person with the name on the card, which is the campground owner. But that's not how a Lowe's Pro account works. You send people that work for you all the time. So I said, no. I'm here like once a week. I'm on the list to use as an authorized user for this card. I'm one of 3 people listed. Told her all 3 people that are listed on the account. Said, no. I'm on the list. I'm allowed to do this. I'm here all the time. I do the exact same thing. And she says, gotta have the person listed on the pro card. I said, okay. She said, unless you want to pay me some other way. I'm not paying you out of my pocket for the company shit. So no. And she's like, oh. Then she says this. Maybe they can help you at the pro desk checkout. So I literally lean back from the counter, look at probably 15 places where it says pro. And I said, this is the pro desk. She said, no, sir. This is only a pro desk when a Lowe's pro desk associate is at this desk. I'm a regular cashier. Then she says, maybe Jack can help you. Jack is over here. Points to Jack. Maybe Jack can help you. And I said, okay. Well, you already rang me up. You think you could just send that ticket on over to Jack? I'll see. Yeah, I think so. I'll see. Okay. So then I'll walk my ass over here to see Jack. But there's like 3 people here talking about getting a credit card, blah, 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 whatever. Okay. A female beside Jack. Her name is Steph. Uh-oh, not with an R. Steph. S-T-E-P-H. Steph comes to me here and says, I can check you out. I'm a pro associate, but I'm going to have to check you out over here at number 2. Sounds great. Sounds great. So I take my cart, go all the way over to number 2. Ask her, did she send you the list of all? No, she didn't save it. She deleted it all. I'm about to ring you up again. Okay, back to the same process. Rung up again. $1,000. It's like $897. It wasn't $1,000. $897 worth of stuff. She rings me up again. I swap my pro card. She says, I'm just going to need to see your ID. I'm sure you're listed on the account. And I said, yes, ma'am. I certainly am. Hand her my ID. She looks at me, looks at the computer, looks at me, looks at the computer, and says, oh, no. I'm not able to do it from this computer. You are going to have to go to a pro desk. And I said, you're shitting me, right? And she said, sir, we just can't ring anybody up for almost $1,000 worth of stuff. That's where I got 1,000 from. Almost $1,000 worth of stuff without verifying that you're listed on the account. I said, oh, yeah, seems like a lot of money. What, do you make that in 3 months here? She's no longer talking. Steph is no longer talking to me. Steph is very upset. I may have started using some very choice words. So now she just walks off. She's gone. Steph left the building. Now I go get into the only fucking line I haven't been in yet, which I could have started at, here to see Juan. I go to Juan and I say, Juan, this is my 3rd time trying to check out. Did either this lady here or Steph send you what they just rang up twice for me? Nope. Nope, they deleted it. Gonna have to start all over. Juan rings me up, asks me how I'll be paying for it. I say, my Lowe's Pro card at the Pro desk. Of course, Juan. Juan doesn't even check my ID. Never even mentions it. Never even fucking mentions it. I could have been stealing it all with a stolen fucking card. It didn't matter the whole goddamn time. It doesn't fucking matter. I could have had a McLovin ID. It didn't fucking matter no ways. It's a setup. It's a setup. They want to see what I'm going to do. I'm on the account. I'm fucking approved on the account. But two people tell me I'm not on the account or they can't verify I'm on the account to send me to a third person who doesn't give a fuck if I'm on the account. I think they might talk to my therapist at the VA and they know what triggers me out in public, and they're like, "Come on, we can do it." Well, let's see if we can get his fat ass to go through 4 different checkouts next time. Let's make him self-check out and then tell him that the card reader's down. Anyways, that's how I'm doing today.
And people like me started becoming popular when we started vocalizing and creating a platform for people like you to view, so like I said before, bypass the mainstream media and get the intel directly from people that are in the know. And there's been a lot of people like me that have popped up, obviously, since 2020. And,
in the know. He's in the know.
But of course, I'm the greatest of them all. A lot of people call me a goat. I don't know why. I don't resemble a goat. I don't smell like a goat. I don't think I act like a goat. Maybe sometimes I do, but that'd be in private. So I'm not sure what that means, but...
You act like a goat in private?
That's all I know. Anyway, so here's what we're going to do. Just trying to get that little sound like there while people went over to Telegram and voted and see if we got more votes.
By the way, the Lowe's Pro card is supposed to be a perk. It's supposed to make it easier, and you get discounts too. Like the whole total was like $1,050 some, but I get the pro rate on certain things. Not everything's marked down, but most things in the store are. It's supposed to be a perk. You get like parking. You get your orders loaded if you call ahead. Like it's supposed to be a perk. It's not supposed to make it harder to do every goddamn thing at your fucking store. It's supposed to be a perk.
We got a whole bunch of new ones. Okay, so I'm going to take the top 5 of these as of right now. Yeah, maybe I should just screenshot this. There we go. That's a good idea.
I'm a goat in private.
There we go. Okay.
Call
so
me Billy.
Top
Check out my complexion.
And they are first place with 54% of the vote is continuity of government and the PED. For those of you that don't know what PED is, it's the Presidential Emergency Action Document. So we're going to be fielding questions about that. Number 2, coming in at 50% is stock market crash. And don't worry, I'm going to announce these before we do the questions. I just want to read off the top 5 so you guys know what they are. Number 2, 50% of the vote is stock market crash. Now you're going to see 54 and 50% is obviously 104%. How could that be? Because you could vote for more than one topic. You could vote for as many as you want. You just vote for any topic just one time. So the percentages aren't going to add up to 100. Anyway, stock market crash is number 2. Number 3 with 47% is election 2024. Number 4 with 46% is comms. That's going to be an interesting one. And the 5th and final vote getter with 42% is banking crisis. So those are the topics we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to start with the lowest vote getter, which is going to be banking crisis. So right now, I'm going to be fielding questions on the banking crisis.
It was 107. It was.
And you guys are going to ask them, and I'm going to answer them. And that's how Q&A works, just in case you didn't know. So let me get rid of this thing here real quick. Why is it moving? Why isn't it moving? All right, let's just put you way over there then.
You guys want to hear something cool? Let me turn off my screen so I don't share any information I'm not supposed to. While we're waiting on Phil to do his thing, listen to the Enough is Enough chat room sing along.
We are all the children. We are all the children. There's a choice we're making. Saving our lives. Just woman will make a better day. Just you and me.
More cowbell!
We are the children. The only ones make a brighter day. There's a choice we're making.
That's the dumbest fucking conspiracy theory in the world. That Phil is Kevin Kleinsmith. What a goddamn retard.
We are the children. There's a choice we're making.
It's pretty good, right?
Make a better day.
This is why Dr. J's never in our chats. You're right. She's singing. She's the lead tenor over at Enough Is Enough.
We are the children. We are the ones.
Ah, damn, my beard looks good. Now I know why you guys are always so dumbfounded. Just you and me. There you go. Shout out to Enough Is Enough. The reason I couldn't show it is because a phone number popped up on it, so I didn't show the video. But it was just a video of a fucking chat sitting there.
Okay, so the very first.
Yeah, because everybody's when you're on a live stream. When Phil's on a live stream, most people, as long as their internet's fast enough, are seeing Phil at the same time. There may be a little bit of buffering error. But when everybody's on a live stream, like a video chat, everybody's hearing it slightly different, and the responses are at slightly different times. Everything is. I've seen his fucking picture. Just because he has a resemblance to Phil doesn't mean it's fucking Phil. You're retarded.
First topic is the banking crisis. So all questions that I'm going to be feeling right now are going to be on the banking crisis. You asked your question.
You guys not remember when they said that? I think he was the ex-FBI lawyer that was charged. They were all running around saying that Phil was Kevin Kleinsmith. It kind of looks like a fat cheeked, like packing nuts away for winter Phil, but clearly not him, right? We can't just be like, oh, somebody with a passing resemblance to you is obviously you. Fucking retard.
Question in the chat, and I will answer it to the best of my ability. First one I see is, will Chase Bank crash? So this is a topic that we talked about before surrounding Chase Bank in particular. Jamie Dimon. If you don't know who Jamie Dimon is, he is the...
Wait. Gus got me good. Burn. You are the tard, loser. You got me, Gus. You got me so much.
The big wig at Chase Bank, and Jamie Dimon has the unique ability, so to speak,
to look like SGN too, doesn't he?
Himself in the best possible position at all times. He did this in the mortgage crisis of 2008, and he's done it throughout the years as his reign and CEO of Chase Bank has continued. I don't want to call him a smart man, but I do.
You know, I don't say this because I think it's like bragging or whatever. I don't even think this. But I have had people come up to me in public and confuse me with Heavy D of, you guys know what Diesel Brothers is? Confuse me with, ask me if I am Heavy D. It's always been it's only been one time when I was like walking around. It's always every other time. It's probably happened more than 10 times. Not more than 15. I would say over 10 times. It's always been when I'm in a car except for once. I don't know if I look more like him from just like the fucking car window up or something, but I'll show you his picture. I don't think I look like him. I mean, I understand like we both have like resting bitch face, I guess. And we both have beards. The guy at Taco Bell confused me with him twice over a 3-month period. Like I already told him once, no, that's not me. Because he looked at me like twice and then he pulls up his phone and I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, you're that guy from that Diesel show. And I'm like, no, I've heard that before. And like 3 months later, I was in Mariah's car and he confused me with him again. Twice. No, I am a looser. I am a looser. He meant that. He meant I'm a looser. This is Heavy D. I don't look like him at all.
Want to refer to him as conniving, and he gets things done.
I'm a looser.
There's one thing that we have to remember with the banking crisis as a whole, and as it relates to Chase Bank or any other bank. Some banks need to survive the changeover into the quantum system. Not every bank will fail. Almost all of them will, but there will be some left over. Now, the last time I talked to the people in the know about this, I was told only one bank would survive. And that doesn't necessarily mean they...
Yeah, passingly. The same way that, like, I don't think you would confuse this guy with Phil, right? Like, they have some of the same features, but I wouldn't walk up to this guy and be like, oh, my God, Phil Godlewski? And they look more alike than me and the other guy does. It's like passing features, right? Yeah, someone said, you resemble him, but I wouldn't mistake him. That's the same thing, I think. Like, we have a beard. We kind of have the same expression a lot of times. Probably similar eyebrows and nose. But I wouldn't confuse, like, I don't think people should confuse us. People could say, like, you kind of look like that guy off the Diesel Brothers show. Yeah.
They won't become insolvent. They still may become insolvent.
Thank you, Bug Dude. I appreciate it.
Banks that actually make it through, and the structure of those banks is used for the new QFS, meaning the way that the company is set up, the logistics of the company is set up. Those banks still may become insolvent. So if you have your money in those banks, if you just read your...
It was worse when I was in my Duramax. When I was in my Duramax, people would ask me all the time. That's when I got asked the most, was when I was in my diesel pickup truck.
That you signed to the bank when you open your bank account. If your bank becomes insolvent, anything in your bank account belongs to them. You don't get back. No, you'll have FBI.
Except we've seen multiple cases where they replaced everybody's money. Did you miss that? That's already happened. Not only did they do FDIC insurance, they went above and beyond FDIC and gave everybody their shit back.
FDIC insurance, which is the Federal Reserve's insurance policy, basically, to protect you up to $250,000. But what if they become insolvent? This happened with AIG back in the mortgage crisis. I was like, oh, don't worry. If the banks fail, we have insurance against that. Well, okay, well, what if they go bankrupt? Who's your insurance carrier then? No.
He has hair, but it's extremely thinning. I think he openly, like, admits that. Like, the reason he wears a hat all the time is because he's going bald.
And that's exactly why the FDIC is scary. And what we see happening now at the FDIC is an enormous amount of exposure. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on with the way that they treat employees and the way that they're moving money illegally and a lot of other stuff. So you can't really rely on the FDIC to bail your bank or any other bank out of a situation like that. So will Chase survive? If any banks do survive, I think it's going to be probably somebody like Chase, although I don't know this for sure. But even if that's the case, the insolvency is still going to be an issue. They may survive past the crash, past the changeover rather, but they're still going to crash as the original.
Still going to crash.
I think
the only way your money's safe is with me, for sure. That's the only way you can be sure, is if you send me all your money.
A lot remains to be seen, but I don't trust any banks right now at all. Zero. If there's one that I would trust, it would probably be Chase, but I don't trust it. I hope that answers your question. Lisa Fox from my Friends of Mark Pool group. Thank you guys for the flowers and the candies last night, by the way. We got them at our anniversary dinner.
They sent flowers and candy to Phil. They sent flowers and candy to Phil, and it said Friends of Mark Pool or some stupid shit. And they all believe that Phil is always somebody else other than who he is. Friends of Mark Pool, and they sent him an anniversary present to whatever fucking... They had to know where he was at, I'm assuming, right? Flowers and candy from Friends of Mark Pool friend group or Telegram group or some shit like that.
Absolutely incredibly thoughtful, you guys. Thank you for everybody that organized that. We really like it. It's great to see that you guys have reached, halfway across flat Earth to where I am. It was a really
the Friends of Mark Pool group.
$20 Rumble Rant. Highfield group question. Bank of Canada had issues today, dropping from $29.75 a share to $4.75 a share. Will we see that here?
I'm guessing they went through somebody that would have known where he would be. If that's the claim Phil ought to make, unless he just bought them for himself. Like if they went through like Todd, or they went through the woman he hired to be like his scheduler or whatever. Maybe that's his claim. I don't know.
As well, in an attempt to prolong the inevitable. Code word Greenback Boogie. So excellent question, as always, from you. The banking system is not United States specific. So Canada's going to be affected. Europe's going to be affected. Africa's going to be affected.
All cash. If you have a credit card, get cash with it. Cash withdrawals. Use it as an ATM. It won't matter after the crash. By the way, I was talking the other day about, what's that? What's her name? Outside the Matrix, a.k.a. Q-Rash. I think we should all collectively go together. We're never calling her Crash again. We should get everybody together to start calling her Q-Rash. That's a much funnier name. I vote for it. Q-Rash. She's not Crash. She's Q-Rash. It's settled.
China, keep going. Japan, all the way across planet Earth, there's going to be major stock losses, just like the one that you just described. And there's also going to be similar activity to what we were just talking about with the potential collapse of Chase Bank. So that's because the banking system that's currently in place is cabal, and the cabal is falling. It's happening in multiple facets simultaneously in real time. So yeah, I think the drop in stock that you saw today of the bank that you mentioned is going to take place regularly going forward. And if you look back just on the last year and a half, since March of 23, that's when Silicon Valley Bank went under, and then the rest of it was First Republic, and a couple others went after that. You're going to see it again. You're going to see that throughout 2024. I think you're already starting to see it with the enormous stock losses. You're talking about $25 a share for that bank that Lisa just mentioned. And if that starts happening, that's when insolvency happens. And if the bank declares that they're insolvent, whatever you have in the bank is gone. That's just how it goes. So luckily, I've tried to set up a contingency plan for this. That's why I introduced Gold Quiz. That's why I introduced Phil Silver. Those will help you get the money out of the bank and into a metal, into a precious metal. It can be gold, it can be silver. We all see what's happening with the prices of gold and silver.
Nobody can claim he isn't living it up.
So if you guys were lucky ones when we first started this, buying in at $17, $18, $19 an ounce, your metal is protected all the way up to about $30 an ounce now. And the sky's the limit for silver. The gold has been touching all-time highs throughout this year. Silver is on an 11-year high. So we created some opportunity for you to get out of the banking system and into metals. Goldquiz.com is one that's for either an EFT transfer of a large savings account or a large amount of cash that you have. Take it out of the bank, put it into metal, to send the metal right to you. Or if you have your money in a 401k or an IRA, you could get right the heck out of there too, roll it right over, and get it into metals. Now you have the same 401k or IRA, but it's backed by metal.
Yeah, it's other people's money, but he's doing a good job spending it, I'm sure.
401k or IRA from, that dollar is in their bank account. If their bank crashes and becomes insolvent, you lose. Plain and simple. So that's why I created these opportunities. Good question, Lisa. Let's go on to the next. This one from B Spain, another $20 Rumble Rant. July 9, 2024 is the end of the petrodollar pact. Do you think this will be the public collapse of the dollar in the market? Could very well be, and you're right, that is the end of the petrodollar pact. July 9th strikes me as a pretty interesting date because it's just a couple days before Trump gets sentenced. So if we're looking for that event that we've been talking about now for weeks, what better time to collapse the US dollar and, by and large, the banking system, the cabal banking system, than around the same time that the most popular president in United States history and probably in world history gets.
So we had an agreement with Saudi Arabia to only to sell oil and crude in US dollars only. They did not renew that agreement. That was from like 1974 or 54 or some shit. They did not renew that agreement. It was 50 years. So they did not. So it's 74, and they're going to let it expire and start trading in multiple currencies, including the U.S. dollar, as well as cryptocurrencies, possibly, and countrywide cryptocurrencies. Deal would motivate the crucial decision to not renew the contract, enables Saudi Arabia to sell oil and other goods in multiple currencies, including Chinese RMB, euros, yen, and yuan, instead of exclusively in U.S. dollars. Additionally, the potential use of digital currencies like Bitcoin may also be considered. This latest development signifies a major shift away from the petrodollar system established in 1972 when the U.S. decoupled its currency from gold, and is anticipated to hasten the global shift away from the U.S. dollar and major markets, or CBDCs, right? Those are central bank backed digital currencies.
Sent to jail. Wouldn't that create an enormous amount of uprising? What better opportunity to introduce something like June 9th? You said June 9th? Not July 9th, June 9th? Okay. Well, then that takes everything that I just said about Trump out of the playing field. However, that doesn't mean that it can't happen on June 9th, and then the reveal of it happens more towards the time that Trump gets sentenced.
Oh, it happens on June 9th, then the reveal of it. Okay.
That would create a really good opportunity to introduce something like the EDS, like the limited martial law, the military coming in and saying, our country's been hijacked, our constitution is under attack. So, between now and if you remember, in my life that I held, it was about a month and a half ago or so, it was called the event. I said there's going to be an event, and I said I can't see how it could get past June or July. Why? Because the election is scheduled for November. So when are you going to act? October? There has to be time. There has to be, the shit's going to hit the fan. There's no other way. 98C. What price does silver need to hit before banks implode? $40. It's actually $39 in some sense, but that's the next big level. The one level that we were trying to push past was that $29.78 mark, and we're past that. As you saw last week, it was up to 32. Where did you say? I haven't seen. Let me check. Okay, we're at just a little above 30 today, but you're going to see that it'll stall. When it's starting to go down, it'll stall right around 30, and that's because we got past that next price. So what happens is, once it gets so high, the banks that are betting against the metal have to start paying out their losses. For every $1, I've said this many times before, but for every $1 the price of silver goes up, Bank of America loses $800 million. And look at how much silver's gone up in the last 30 days. What, $7, $8, $9 an ounce? Do the math. They don't have the money anymore to suppress the amount down to where it has been in the 20s and even below 20. So what's happening now is we're creating a new floor at that $30 mark, roughly $30 mark, and when it goes up to that $39, $40 mark, there's going to be a point where it gets to around 40, let's say between 40 and 50 to be safe. There's going to be a point where it gets there and then it just skyrockets. Like the graph isn't going to look like this anymore, and it's going up, going up, going up. It's going to look like that, and it's going to go, it's going to be like the side of a mountain. Like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the GameStop graph. When that happened, when GameStop was going through the roof, that's silver. And when it gets up there, who knows where it'll stop? Could stop at 500, could stop at 1,500, 5,000. It'll stop and it'll plateau there for wherever that is for a little while, but then that's when a lot of attention is going to be on it. And then a lot of the lies that have been told about metals are going to be coming right out in the open. And by the time that happens, there's not a bank in the world that could survive something like that. So that's why it's incredibly important to know where your wealth is, and if it is in a bank, it is subject to potential seizure if the bank goes into insolvency. Good question. What about credit unions? We have 155 pounds of silver. Well, the second thing was a statement, not a question, but what about credit unions? Same thing. So credit unions are insured a different way. They're not insured by the FDIC, but the parent company of the company that insures your credit union is FDIC. So a credit union is different from a bank in a few different ways, but ultimately the insolvency clause is exactly the same as any other bank. The only difference being is that your money at that credit union is insured by a different entity. No difference. And that entity is backed by, you guessed it, the Federal Reserve. $17 Rumble rant. The Bank of Jamaica is named in a list of target banks in Q Drop 137. Does your trip have anything to do with this? Or the DC National Guard Joint Special Ops exercises? That is an excellent question, and unfortunately I'm unable to answer that question. I just can't answer it. Whether I am here for that or not, I can't answer it. I'm not saying I'm not confirming, nor am I denying, but that's not something that I can answer, but it is an excellent question, and you're right. The Bank of Jamaica was mentioned in 137. So very observant of you on that. All right, we're gonna move on to topic number 2. We're gonna go from the bottom up. That was 42%. What was next here? 46. So that'd be comms. All right, so comms. What do you guys want to know about comms? You asked me a question about comms. I will answer the question about comms. I'm not going to give you comms. You have to ask the question about comms. While we wait for one of the first questions to pop up, this one says, once silver goes up like that, do you think it'll ever come back down this far? No. It's going to level out.
Oh, because so silver can only go up and it'll never come back down ever. Got it.
Somewhere at a really high number, and it'll just stay there up and down a little bit, you know.
Shut the fuck up, Christian.
Comms are communications for those that don't know.
Shut the fuck up.
You want to know about some of my comms?
Go eat some silver. There's some heavy metal in you. That's what you need, Kristen.
You can ask about that, or if you want to know maybe something about comms that you see from Trump or somebody else. What is a comm and the reason for them? Okay, well, that's a good way to start. A comm is a clandestine approach to communication. So clandestine means kind of behind the scenes and like, you know, covert type. With what's happened since 2020, we can't just come out and use mainstream scenes. A comm is somebody else. What is a comm and the reason for them? Okay, well, that's a good way to start. A comm is a clandestine approach to communication. So clandestine means kind of behind the scenes and like, you know, covert type.
That's what it means.
We can't just come out and use mainstream media anymore to tell the truth. So we have to tell the truth in different ways. We have to communicate sometimes with each other through different means. It could be different platforms.
Listen, if you're wrong, just fucking admit you're wrong. Don't try arguing that you're right when you're fucking wrong. So the guy that I had to ban today, Chuck, for being wrong. So basically, he said that Hunter Biden was a pedophile. He may be. But we asked for evidence. Is there evidence? He said 100% yes, there's evidence. It's in this report. I went and read 200 pages of the report. It's not in there. So I asked him again to show evidence. Can you show this evidence? I didn't actually read the report. I just saw some post on Twitter. Well, show us the post. Is that evidence? He ends up showing a blurry picture and saying, she looks young to me. That was his evidence. So I told him, like, you can either fucking show real evidence, you can retract it and say you're fucking wrong, or it's just your opinion, or you can fucking leave. He just started changing the subject. So I muted him for a week. Then he comes to my Twitter. He comes to my Twitter account, and he's like, hey, I saw that you were talking about one of the posts I made on your Telegram. You're welcome, no hard feelings. I said, why the fuck would you have hard feelings? Why the fuck would you have hard feelings for being wrong? He's like, I wasn't wrong. The only thing I was wrong about was Miss Alabama. I was right about Bank of America. Not true. Just because Bank of America holds these assets doesn't mean that these assets are those assets, like the guy that we guessed. We went over this. I was right about Saudi Arabia and the petrodollar. Yeah, technically, right. Saudi Arabia, we just talked about it. They did not renew their agreement. I was right about Hunter being a pedo. No, you don't have any evidence. That was just you saying, looks young to me. What the fuck is wrong with you? Just say I was fucking wrong. There isn't evidence. I think, my opinion is, but you're just fucking wrong.
Comms on Telegram. I did for quite a while. We kind of transitioning into a new system now, but we communicate with each other in different ways to bypass the enemy. So what's happened now is the enemy is very weak. So the comms have slowed down. They're not like they were towards 2020. And I'm not just talking about from me. I'm talking about Pompeo was loaded with comms. Kash Patel loaded with comms. Q loaded with comms. So there were so many comms that were out there, and it was that's where the decoders came from. That's where a lot of the bakers from the came from. The bakers would take something that Q said and kind of dumb it down and get a discussion going about it to therefore decode or try to figure out what Q was getting at by saying the thing in a certain way. So a comm is anything that someone could communicate through by bypassing the regular channels of text message, phone call. Look what they did to Trump's campaign, Crossfire Hurricane, where they stripped down all of his, they unmasked all of his campaign. They were spying on his campaign. So they said, you know what? Let's do this a different way. Gematria was one of the big ways that they are, that they relied upon, and there's others as well. And I give them out sometimes too to try to give you guys an opportunity to hear the things that can't necessarily come out of my mouth to try to figure them out in a different way. Good question. Good way to start.
That's what comms are, guys. Comms.
Mark Group. You mentioned the word Thursday in quotes. 6-6. Back in 6-6-22, you posted a pic of London Bridge. On 6-5, you sent Little Lake. Little Lake's in Gematria is King Charles. Something to go publicly with King Charles. Well, there was that con that you just, it was a con, of course it was. I mean, it's obvious that it was. But King Charles, I believe at the time, King Charles wasn't even a king yet, right? So it was kind of pointing towards that. But there's more with King Charles that's coming. And it wasn't just the satanic picture that they released. It was a lot more than that. It is a lot more than that. So there's going to be more coming with King Charles. But you're on the right track with what you're doing there, in terms of trying to decode this stuff. So great job. Another one here from Sarah, back to back. I thought when you post comms, you usually say end comms. However, on January 14, 2024, you never said end comms. Does this mean your comms are still active? What was that date? January 14, 2024?
Uh-oh.
Moment, please.
Secret comms.
I need to read the comms. I need to see what they were.
You can't remember if you're... Fuck it. You can't remember if your comms are still active or not, Phil? Yes, that's how silver works, Kristen. Cool.
Oh, let me just tell you this. You're onto something there, but it's not what you said. Best way I can answer it. Group chat discussing, the next question. Group chat discussing what LV means in drops. LV is Las Vegas. L equals 12, V equals 22.
Yeah, I read the Marco Polo report that he wanted me. There's a section of the Marco Polo report on the Hunter Biden laptop that's on sexual shit, prostitution, all that stuff. Like, there's a whole section on it. They don't even accuse him of being with a minor. Like, I know there's a lot of people that have shared videos and claim that this is that person, this is that person, this is a minor, that's a minor. There's even AI videos floating around, and one that claims it's Joe Biden and it's from the laptop, and one that claims it's Hunter and it's from the laptop. But none of those are real. Like, they don't even claim in the Marco Polo report that he's a pedophile. They just claim that he's a piece of shit. He's a crackhead. He fucking flew out prostitutes. The human trafficking claims are basically, if you pay a prostitute to travel to you and pay them for sex, that's a form of human trafficking. That's the human trafficking claims that are in the report.
Which is 34. Trump is in Vegas Sunday. Repeat a false flag assassination attempt using deep state playbook. No, I don't believe there's going to be any assassination attempt on Trump. I know that was, we're talking about the Route 92, shooting in Vegas or Mandalay Bay.
That's right. Bank of America has failed as soon as silver hit $30 an ounce. Don't you remember? They already failed.
Talk about that, and that cover up that happened that day. The question is asking, do we think that that's going to happen again, considering Trump is going back to Vegas? No, I see how you're trying to connect it there, but that's not. There may have been assassination plans for Trump in the past, but the cabal is so weak right now that it's not, unless there's a lone, psychopath out there that really wants to kill Trump. Getting close enough to kill Trump is going to be a very difficult thing to do, obviously, because he's so well insulated. So I don't think anything like that's.
So why would a lone psychopath be able to get? He's so well insulated. Unless you're a lone psychopath. What?
Happen. LV in the drops was, of course, Las Vegas, and Q did talk about what was going to happen in Las Vegas during Route 92 before it even happened. So that was one big Q proof, of course. But going forward, I know nothing about any kind of fake or calm assassination attempt. You said you should be from Vandergrift. I did say that. Is that a con that points to Vandergrift and Tesla? Vandergraaf and Tesla. Van de Graafs and Tesla. Sorry, I can't speak apparently. No, actually, it wasn't a con at all. I just thought it was funny that it has the word grift in it, and everyone calls me a grifter. So I figured, well, if I was from Vandergrift.
While he's spending probably hundreds of thousands of dollars on his vacation for his anniversary with Carrie that he got from you guys investing in his overpriced metals, He's like, I just think it's funny. Everybody calls me a grifter. Clearly, I'm not.
It would be very fitting because I grift. Get it? Now there's going to be a meme out there when my voice says, I grift. There you go. Now you're really going to mess with screenshot that, put it everywhere. Good question, though, but no. Not this time. Does Hello George relate to George Floyd, and will we see him before September? Truthfully speaking, I don't think we'll ever see George Floyd again, not because he's dead, but because he was used for a certain psyop, and he's long gone now. Even if he tried to come out of the protection that he's under, there would be no way they would let him live that long to get out. So George Floyd, from all the intel that I have, is alive, and that whole situation was used to, highlight what was going on, but it wasn't, there's no plan to reveal George Floyd to the public or anything like that. If something like that happens, it's outside of white hat control. There's nothing that, nothing.
Oh my God. I know I keep getting off on rabbit trails, but it feels just too boring for my ADHD. Did you guys see World's Strongest Man Eddie Hall fighting 2 other people? This is the craziest fight. Let's watch it right quick and then we'll get back to Phil. This is insane, dude. The Nafati brothers are here. Eddie Hall is a beast, dude. He's like 6 something. He's like 400 goddamn pounds. He's a world strongman. And he's fighting these 2 little guys in MMA, anything fucking. Check this out.
Have even been 2-minute rounds. Extremely short fight, and it was also incredibly boring up to this moment.
This is 3 rounds, 2-minute rounds. They basically ran from him the whole time. Even like he would chase one of them, the other one tried to get to his back. I guess they're going to try to punch him in the back and knock him out, I guess, over and over again. The judge even had to talk to him. Like, you can't just run from him the whole time. You have to show that some type of engagement.
36 seconds left in the 3rd round, and this is what happens. Speed there, he ran across. Okay, there we go.
Oh, let me slow it down. So one of them finally takes a shot at him, comes at his knees, and look what he does to these guys.
And it was also incredibly boring up to this moment. 36 seconds left in the 3rd round, and this is what happened. Speed there, he ran across. Okay, there we go. Another single leg, trying to fight.
He pile drives one of them and knocks that dude out. This is like the argument, how many 5th graders do you think you could fight? Like, let's say I gave you a year to get in shape, do whatever you need to do. How many 5th graders do you think you could fight?
Absolutely crazy. This answered all the questions of whether this fight was going to be real or not. It was Eddie Hall's debut. It's a little bit of a circus act type fight. When you are that vastly undersized, you ain't doing jack-ish to Eddie Hall. Let me show you one more time. So this was the story of the fight. Eddie Hall was just standing with his back against the fence. So I watched the fight.
So he wasn't letting him get to his back, which is a good move, but he sprinted after them a couple times.
From top to bottom. Now, I was playing Battlefield on my 2nd monitor up until this fight.
That's a good way to get
the story of the fight was basically Eddie was backing into a corner and waiting for them to attack him, which in my opinion is a good strategy. But it led to a very boring fight because these Nafati brothers, they were terrified to approach Eddie because they're both 5'5". They weigh about 130 pounds. And Eddie's got the world record for the most powerful punch, or at least he's up there in the top 3. And as I was watching this with my cousin, I said, in all honesty, you need 3 or 4 of them in there. If you're going to have that much of a...
There's a better angle of
Eddie knocked out one of the brothers and then punched the remaining brother to get a double stoppage. Eddie weighed in at more than both brothers put together and was 3 times heavier than them individually. 5'3" 145-pound brothers did exactly as I predicted.
Trying to run in the whole time.
In and out.
He's trying to split the difference and use his peripheral vision. I don't know what the fuck they
for the first couple of rounds.
If there was 10 of them, yeah, okay, gotcha. Right. 10 of them. Some people are getting knocked out, but someone else is going to get him in some type of submission, choke him out, at least have a shot at getting to his back and trying to put him in a chokehold or something like that. 2 of them? I'm surprised he didn't use one to hit the other one with.
But not much really happening. Eddie was getting frustrated as he clearly wanted to fight, and he was chasing the brothers but not able to catch them. That is until the 3rd and final round. This is where Eddie rushed at the brothers, missed them, then they actually attacked Eddie, one of them going for Eddie's leg, for which Eddie lifted him up to head height and slammed him down onto the floor. To be fair, he bravely got straight up and charged straight at Eddie to rescue his brother. who was also attacking Eddie's legs. And as he charged in, Eddie landed a perfect right hand on his jaw.
Get up.
Make it worse,
Boom.
running towards the punch, which obviously doubles the impact. Eddie knocked out one of the brothers.
Damn.
I think that's planned regarding George Floyd.
They're 5'5". He just said they're hot. They're 5'5". You think people who are 5'5" are midgets?
From our side. Answer questions from my D-Live? Sure, I can do that. Let's go over to D-Live. I guess I'll open this treasure chest while I'm here. Oof, almost 2,000 lemons in that bad boy. 30-second countdown, then I'll call the winners out. You have to be a D-Live member to get the lemons. The lemons could be used to subscribe on D-Live, and you could get some other perks on D-Live as well. Let's see.
An adult under 4'10" is considered what, dwarfism?
Hello, George. Is that
5'5" is probably an average female.
JFK Juniors magazine? Yes, it is. All right, let's see who the winners here are on D-Live. We got Jay Waller, 235.7 lemons. Darlene Asher, 135.8. Sherry B, 98.4. Marcia Hone, 78.4. And Timberwolf, 65.7. Congratulations to the winners on D-Live.
Good job, Timberwolf.
Here's one from Mimi Pizarro. What purpose could be served by public comms presently? Same thing as I said before. Public comms could be used to bypass the regular communication systems via email, text message, phone.
Wait, we have it all. We've taken it all over. The cabal is done. We've taken over the media and the banking system and the voting. So we've taken everything over. Why do we still need to do fucking all your random words that you call comms?
While any of these things can be monitored, there are still weaponized forms of government within the government, you know, rogue agents.
Yeah, I can't remember why Eddie Hall's, let's see. What, he's actually a lot smaller now than what he usually lifts at. He's 6'3", and at his peak, he was 450 pounds. He's probably down near 350 now, I'd say, but he's 6'3".
That are still in certain agencies, such as the CIA, the FBI, the DOJ, maybe even the NSA. So these agencies still have some bad actors in them. We don't know necessarily, until we weed out absolutely everybody, we don't know what's safe and what isn't safe. So that would be the reason to still have public comms in place. We're just doing comms right now, guys. Is Built Different a comm? Built Different's been a comm for a while. Once I did it in Gematria, once I put it into Gematria, it was like a thing on TikTok where my stepdaughter Jocelyn, she's like into TikTok and all this stuff, and like one of the things on there was I'm Built Different and whatever. So we had like a joke about it a year ago, and then I just so happened to realize what it stood for in Gematria, and I started using it. So I use it often. Obviously, you see me in the shirt quite often, and I like wearing it on certain occasions.
Okay, he's built different. That's
Is
right.
Ezra Watnick calling out Ghost Ezra a comm? No, I didn't see Ezra call out Ghost Ezra anyway. I don't know if you're talking about the Telegram Ghost Ezra, but I don't believe that's the Telegram Ezra, but Ezra Cohen Watnick is not on Telegram. He only has a Twitter account. So if you're in one of those channels, that's not the right channel to be in. Okay, let's go on to the third topic. That was comms.
Phil runs 3 of them.
Election 2024. Let's move on to election 2024. Just so you guys know, we're doing a structured Q&A, which means I'm saying topics, and you ask questions on those topics. So the current topic is election 2024. I'll answer this one while those questions populate. This is another one comes. It's from Happily Benham. Last live you wore a New York Yankees hat, which in Simple Gematria is 191, and Simple Gematria is Phil, BO, extract, conf. So how does it be exactly word for word written in Q Post 101? Coincidence? No. No, not a coincidence. Excellent work on that one. That was great decoding. You know, it's funny, I only brought one hat here to Jamaica, and it was for that exact purpose. And you figured it out that it was drop 101. Great job. Now, what do I mean by that? Man. That's the ultimate question. So you figured out the comm, but now you guys see how it actually relates to current events in our real world, right?
You figured it out, guys.
Method to comms. I'm telling you something, but I'm not really telling it to you. I'm just pointing you in the right direction. Now you have to figure out what the hell I meant by it, and then tie it into the world. And then once you actually do that and you see what that relates to, you're going to think I'm a genius. Or maybe I just know a little bit. This doesn't have anything to do with election 24, but I'll answer this question quickly. Say someone has collected 500 coins, would they become a silver millionaire? Assuming that they're 1 ounce coins, and silver, even if it went to 20,000 an ounce, that's $1 million, right? No, it's more than $10 million. So even if it went to what was it, 2,000 an ounce? Is that what it would be? 2,000 times 500? Yeah, it's $1 million. So silver, I think, easily goes to 2,000 an ounce. So yeah, you'd be a millionaire for 1 ounce coins. You know, for half ounce coins, a quarter ounce coins, obviously a different story. Okay, now we're on to election. Election 24. That was the third highest vote getter today.
Yeah, but the problem is they paid $300 an ounce for theirs. They paid $300 an ounce for it and a $500 yearly fee.
Only answering questions on election 2024.
Yes, the Louis Vuitton. I did not make.
When will SCOTUS announce the 2020 election fraudulent? Well, a couple things have to happen before then. You can't just be sitting there waiting for the Supreme Court to make that announcement. It's not like a special press conference is going to be called and there's the justices and they announce it. That's not how it's going to go. There has to be a series of events that take place before such an announcement can actually be made. So I think that's
a series of unfortunate events, you say?
Has already, first of all, it was a very long series of events, obviously, but I think that the current series of events has already kicked into motion. You got Trump on trial. You got Trump convicted of 34 felonies. You have sentencing coming up in a little over a month, this is when the shit hits the fan. This is when we decide who our white hats truly were and whether or not our trust in them was justified for these past few years. Will there even be an election in 2024? I don't believe so. No, I don't believe there will be an election in 2024 at all. And if you look at some other key individuals that have opined on that particular topic, General Flynn said that he could see a situation where there is no 2024 election and that some black swan event takes place before then to cancel the election. And I think I know exactly what he was talking about. We're in the middle of a black swan event, right? Trump was just convicted of 34 felonies.
Are we?
Al Capone was only convicted of 15. Where are we? What world do we live in? You know? And I know this isn't reality. It's not. This is planned. It was planned this way to wake us up.
Al Capone was notoriously known for hiding his crimes well. That's the only thing they got him against was like tax evasion. Donald Trump brags about his.
The heck up. But Flynn thinks that there's going to be a major event that stops the election. Well, you're looking at it. You're looking at it. Trump was convicted and he's going to be sentenced to jail all because of a political prosecution by the weaponized Department of Justice of his political opponent. That is treason. It's essentially a declaration of war. It's unconstitutional, and the military needs to protect the Constitution. So, no, I don't think there's going to be an election in 2024 at all. I can't see how there could be. Truthfully, if what I described in my last live about the military coming in and straightening everything out, suspension of habeas corpus, mass arrests, emergency broadcast system, all that stuff, if that doesn't happen, and we proceed to November of 2024 to vote in the general election for president, Trump could be in jail. He's going to get sentenced, and he's going to have to report to jail before November. He's not going to get like a 5-month leave. For the They're going to put him in jail before then. So then what? There's not going to be bail.
Trump's not going to jail. I don't think Trump's going to. Could you imagine just the logistics of that? First of all, he doesn't have a criminal record. It's white-collar crime. Trump's not going to jail.
Where are we then? No election.
I'm sure it feels smart. He's taking that money he's grifted and giving it to some type of financial manager instead of pissing it away and blowing through it, which is hard to tell. I mean, he's not exactly smart. He pisses quite a bit of it away, but he should have taken a large chunk of that and went to a financial advisor, and a financial advisor would have put it in a bunch of blue chip stuff, maybe some small speculative stuff just for, hey, we might win, whatever. But most of it would be in some type of blue chip stuff, just safe away, and it could go up.
Number 34 is huge. You referenced it earlier on. The number is popping up all over after Trump's verdict. 34th week of 2024 happens to begin 8/19. That's August 19. That is the start of the DNC convention. Another 34 comp. Sure is. And I didn't just pick 34.
By the way, do you think Phil understands that it shows how much his videos are making? You know how Phil claims he makes like $500 million a day from Rumble or something? His videos show how much they make. Like his video from 6 days ago, Q&A, June 5th, 2024, the one we're watching, has earned $1,287.65. Nothing to laugh about, especially if he was doing daily videos. I know a way that Phil could probably double his income from Rumble. But it's going to cost Phil some Trump bucks if he wants that idea.
For the title of my last live, it was to show you guys that we are still using comms for confirmation of things. And ultimately, well, one of the reasons why this continues to happen is confirmation of Q.
I think he gets probation too.
You guys still, I don't think, are realizing the importance of what Q and Q's drops have had on humanity. I don't think anyone really realizes it just yet. But they will. You said earlier Trump wouldn't go to jail. Now he is. What changed? Or now you say he is. What changed? When I say he wouldn't go to jail, it was a while ago. It was probably a couple years ago when I was asked that question. A lot has changed. The way that...
So now when Phil's wrong, Phil claims he predicts stuff years in advance, but when he's wrong, well, a lot of stuff has changed.
The biggest thing that changed. Trump didn't want to leave office.
He predicted the Queen dying because she was like 1,000 years old, and he was only off by like 19 months. So he predicted that. But the fact that a year ago he said Trump will never be in jail, well, things change.
He wanted to do what they're doing now. He wanted to do that in late 2020, in December of 2020. Suspend habeas corpus, Stafford Act, all of those things. Military comes in, EBS, mass arrest now, suspend habeas corpus, ask questions later. That's what Trump wanted to do.
They're not going to keep him off the campaign trail with house arrest. Jesus Christ. Y'all are fucking... Maybe you don't know how probation works for wealthy and powerful people, but he's not going to be tied to his house or to Florida.
And that changed. And then there were probably a dozen different pathways
he'll even get confinement at home
to finalize this shit show.
He could, certainly. I just don't think he will. I think it would be seen as them trying to interfere in the election. I think he'll be on probation. Or basically, if he gets any more trouble, it would be a suspended sentence. That'll be it.
They wanted to go down for one reason or another. And
right. If he gets an ankle monitor. So if I was on probation and you're not allowed to leave the state, I have to have a good reason to leave the state. Even though when I was on probation for drug charges, I got to leave the state. I went out of town and worked. I just had to sign a piece of paper that said I hadn't drank, I hadn't done drugs, mail it in with a $35 check, which I had already paid off my fine at the time, or my fees at the time. Mail it in, I was fine. So Trump will be traveling even though he's on probation.
This is all going to come out eventually. But I can't wait to see that documentary. Whew. Be glued to the screen. Anyway, for one reason or another, the pathway changed. I reported on many pathways that I thought would happen, and what pisses me off is that I get made out to look like an idiot, because I'm being told this is going to go this way, and then they change it. So then everything that I reported on what I was told makes me look like, but at least I'm reporting the truth. You can't say that about mainstream
media. Biden didn't have to really campaign in 2020.
Yeah, for example. So a lot has changed. I think that they've changed this plan many different times, many times. Is the art on the wall behind you a calm for California decertifying their 2020 election results? No, that art is just in our suite. That had nothing to do with art. 98C again, is there any chance General Michael Flynn could be Trump's VP candidate? Can you please give a shout out to FlynnMovie.com? It's one of the best movies I've seen exposing the deep state. Yeah, so Flynn's movie, I actually haven't seen it yet, but I heard it is good. Listen, I think you know this, 98C, because you've been following me for a very long time, because I read your questions many times. I've always said from Jump Street, that Flynn would be Trump's VP. I said it for a very long time now. Then I got intel that that's not the case anymore, and that intel was recently.
So he was just, things have changed. I predicted it, things have changed.
I have not heard anything about it since. So the current intel that I have is that it will not be Trump and that it will be DeSantis. But it's changed before. I still see Flynn as a better fit, to be honest with you, especially for the new role that the vice presidents have. It's not going to be this bullshit role that the vice presidents have had in the past, where they're do-nothing vice presidents, and it's a tight, except for Dick Cheney, he ran the country and the world from the vice presidency. But it's going to be different. So the intel that I have says DeSantis. The intel that I had for 3 years running was Flynn. So we'll see. I don't know. Lisa Fox again, high-filled root question. Mars, military auxiliary radio system. Was that what Donald Trump was referring to when he said AM radio a while back? Yeah, of course. Yeah, so Mars,
okay.
When you hear Mars, you think of the planet, obviously. But Mars is an acronym that's used for many things. And one of them, of course, is in the military. It's a radio broadcasting system, basically. And it's very similar to what the EBS would be in a few different ways anyway. So Trump says things that seem like he does this a lot in speeches and rallies, even in interviews when he was on mainstream media. He says things that seem like they're way off on a tangent somewhere. Like, what's this guy talking about? Like, she asked about the economy. He's talking about AM radio, or he's talking about cucumbers, or he's talking about, furniture. He's not.
It doesn't have anything to do. It doesn't have anything to do with the emergency broadcast system. Mars is a program that uses citizen volunteers through the Department of Defense. It's like a worst case scenario. The ham radio operators that could be called into service on a volunteer basis to help us out and spread messages if something happened and radio communication, telephones, shit like that was down. Has nothing to do with EBS.
He's probably one of the smartest people in the world currently, at least in the top 10. He doesn't just go off on those tangents and talk like he's your drunk uncle. I know that's what it seems like, but that's not the case. He's actually saying things. He's telling you things without telling you. That's what you did. That's what I do. That's what comms are all about. So, yeah, you're right down to it. That's exactly what he's talking about. I think it was a warning about the EBS. All right, let's go on to the next topic. We got 2 left. That was election 24, right? Next one is stock market crash. Ask me questions about the stock market crash. Lori Potts says, my name is Lisa Fox. Can you answer our questions too? LOL, just playing.
Wow, that was a shot. My name's Lisa Fox. Can you answer my question too? Because he always answers for Lisa Fox. Lisa Fox must be Carrie or some shit. I don't know. She's always asking questions that lead Phil to bragging about himself.
Yeah, I'll do this one while we wait for the stock market crash questions. Nikki D asks, you mentioned the EDS and martial law could happen around the sentencing of Trump. If this happens, how long do you think we would be under military control, and would Trump assume the presidency then? Great question.
When Trump just gets probation with really no restrictions, things have changed.
I think, assuming that timeline is accurate, which I don't know if it is, but let's assume that it is. Around the sentencing.
I don't know if it is. Assuming it's, I don't know.
Let's say the first, second week of July, EBS starts and Trump gets sentenced and they're trying to put him in jail and whatever. If that happens in that time frame, I think we're going to be under limited martial law, anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, up to 30 days, I'd say. I would say no less than 2 weeks. I can't see how a limited martial law would work for more than 30 days. So I'd say somewhere between 2 and 4 weeks. I don't think it's about the beginning of August. I think after that, once the dust settles for that 30-day period or so, you're going to see major announcements from the military. Because the military is going to be temporarily in control of the country at that point. So who will be the spokesperson, or what will be the way of relaying those messages to the general public? I don't know. But shortly after that, I think what's going to lead up to, which would, let's say, be sometime in August, it's going to lay out a pathway of a special election, and not just a special election for the president. Because during that 30-day period, anyone that committed treason, sedition, or crimes against their country or crimes against humanity, for that matter, during that 30-day period, I think a lot of senators, congressmen, governors, and otherwise within government are going to be secretaries of state, are going to be rounded up and jailed, and they'll sort out the mess later. So I think a lot of consolidation is going to happen within government. Certain positions are just going to be eliminated because they're useless. A lot of those positions in government were created for purposes of corruption. Because if you could corrupt a mid-level associate, that affects everybody down. And eventually you work your way up to the top. You work your way from, Secretary of State to Lieutenant Governor, and then ultimately up to Governor, right? But they had to start low and then work their way up. Sometimes those people that started low, that were cabal, work their way up to the next rank and then the next rank, and then ultimately all the way up to the top. So we know.
Sometimes I think that Joe Biden is several raccoons in a human suit. You ever get that impression? Sometimes I think that. I'm not a fan of Trump either. I'm not a fan of any of these old motherfuckers. But he could be several raccoons in a meat suit. What are you doing with your hands, bro? Lots of raccoons in there. One of the hamsters moved his hand finally. He's heavily sedated on edibles, I think. The fuck is going on with him? Jesus Christ, dude. I don't know. Why can't we have younger candidates?
Who they are. Trump said he caught them all, and he did. So there's going to be a lot of positions that end up open and need to be filled by a special election. We talked about the deep state target list, Ivan Rankin, that he talked about. He has 300 and some names, 350, 400 names. That's what we're talking about. Now, those people aren't all political seat holders, but they are all deep state, and some of them are absolutely in politics. And Ivan's list may be a little bit different than the list that the military has, or maybe much of the same, but the military has a much bigger one. Okay, we're back to stock market crash. We're only answering questions on stock market crash. Group question regarding stock market crash. Will this be the event to bring Mill prior to the sentencing on July 11th? I don't want to say that the stock market crash will be the sole driver for that, but I think stock market crash is going to be the driver for a lot of things, that being one of them. It's not the way they're asking it means is when that happens, is this going to happen as a direct result? Possibly. But when the stock market crashes, a lot of shit's going down. I mean, we're not talking about like a couple 1,000-point loss in the stock market. We're talking about like 20% day one, 20% day two, halting of trading, panic, people trying to get money out of banks being turned away, panic. We're talking about like a major crash. And that is going to lead to many, many different things. So there's going to be a period where everybody just has to sit back and let the dust settle and let the people that are in control or are in charge or that we trust sort things out. So that could be one of the things, but not necessarily the only thing that is caused by the stock market crash.
Makes sense.
Will the stock market crash before or after the Trump sentencing? First of all, I want to preface this. I'm not in control of the stock market crashing, which I was, because I flipped that button right now. And whoever still has money in there, it's your problem. Figure out later with whoever you got to figure out with. I don't have money in there, so I'm good. Hopefully you guys got your 401ks and your IRAs the hell out of your current custodian, because whoever you have it invested with has that money invested in the stock market on your behalf and with your permission. You might not have said directly, hey, yeah, go invest in these particular stocks, but you gave them authority to do with it what they want. And you get your statements, and you get your returns, or you get your losses. You see them every month, or however quarterly, wherever you get your statements. So you gave them permission to put it in the stock market. If it's still
honestly, the stock market's not doing horrible. Inflation's also, I don't know. There's like some really fucked up shit with inflation. Inflation's down by all metrics, but companies have used the high inflation to raise their prices. They're not bringing them down. They're not bringing. I just saw a video on this the other day. Who was it? This guy, maybe? I think I opened it for the show and I never ended up playing it. Was that true or no? Did I make that up? I might have made that up.
Dude, you have got to.
I hate how TikTok works on a fucking computer. It would take a typical McDonald's worker more than 1,200 years to earn what a CEO earns in 1 year. I think they probably need to fix that. Underwear.
Prices for consumers have risen by 3.4% over the past year, but input costs for producers have risen by just 1%. And in many industries, producers...
This is not the one on inflation, but he does have one on inflation. He just does I don't know. I don't follow this guy. He just had a good job. He just did a good job explaining it when I saw one of his videos. The inflation paradox?
It's a paradox. Inflation is dropping, but prices aren't coming down. How can this
I don't really know who he is that much. He did a really good job explaining it.
Because corporations have
And there's quotes. I don't know if it's in this video. I was just researching this the other day. There's quotes from the CEO of Coke is like, yeah, inflation's down, but our customers buy our product and we deserve to make a little more on it. Pepsi is their only competitor and says the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Have enough monopoly power to keep...
No one cares, Kristen. No one cares. Go suck on Phil's pussy. No one cares. Follow God and Phil, and you're going to find out and you wake up in hell one day, but you got it. No one cares.
High. Here's just one example that'll make you fizz. Pepsi.
Oh, it might be in this video.
The U.S. economy doesn't have to choose between the U.S.
It's a paradox. Inflation is drawing power to keep all sorts of drinks, make you fizz. Pepsi. In 2021, PepsiCo, which makes all sorts of drinks and snacks, announced it was forced to raise prices due to higher costs.
So Pepsi says we're forced to... They did the same thing with our power one time. So our power in Tennessee is mostly hydroelectric through the TVA. Well, where we get most of our supply where we're at comes from a place called Boone Lake and Boone Dam. Well, the water was down. They had a leak they had to repair, so the water was way down, so production was down, blah, blah, blah. They had this raise that was like 10 times higher than the average raise, and they're like, oh, don't worry, it's just because the dam needs repairs, and there's less power being produced. But when the dam came back online, they didn't lower the price. They kept it exactly where the fuck it was at.
Really? The company reported $11 billion in profit that year. In 2023, PepsiCo's chief financial...
I'm not an idiot. I'm actually quite intelligent, but thanks for your concern. You seem it. You and God and Phil, three smartest people I know.
Officer said that even though inflation was dropping...
If you were fooled by Phil, you're a goddamn retard. Your genetics should be ousted out of the fucking gene pool, and you should never be allowed to reproduce and probably not even drive a car.
Its prices would not. Pepsi hiked its prices by double digits and announced plans to keep them high in 2024.
Consumers generally...
They're not lowering their prices now that inflation's back down. They're going to keep them high.
To keep them high in 2024.
Consumers generally look at our products and say, you know what, they are worth paying a little bit more for.
No, they don't. There's only Pepsi and Coke. And if you both raise your prices, people like name brand sodas, right? The store brand is cheaper, a lot cheaper right now. People like name brand sodas. But it's not the fact that it's just because you're Pepsi. It's because you're the only major producers that's not store brand. and you own everything in the fucking aisle. You own everything that's not store brand.
How can they get away with this? Well, if Pepsi were challenged by tougher competition, consumers would just buy something cheaper. But PepsiCo's only major soda competitor is Coca-Cola, which, surprise, surprise, announced similar price hikes at about the same time as Pepsi.
That's not competition, right? It's not fucking competition. They're both doing it at the same time because they know they can get away with it.
And also kept its prices high in 2023. The CEO of Coca-Cola claimed that the company had earned the right to push price hikes because its sodas are popular. Popular? The only thing that's popular these days seems to be price gouging. We're seeing this pattern across much of the economy, especially with groceries. Inflation is down. You see, the rate of inflation measures how quickly prices are rising. Prices are now rising far more slowly than in the past couple of years. And while...
So this is the cost of inflation, how fast prices rise. But they just raise them on their own. It doesn't fucking matter.
Supply chain disruptions really did make it more expensive to produce a lot of goods for a while. The cost to produce them now is rising more slowly than prices.
So if you see this purple chart is the cost to produce. So cost to produce, prices jumped way up. Cost to produce is up, prices jumped way up. But now cost to produce is extremely low, and prices are still taking gigantic leaps. The consumer price index. This is not being driven by inflation. At this point, it's just gouging prices.
So there, God bless you. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, how many times have how loud and from how high of a mountaintop do I have to scream, get your 401k out of where it is now and put it into metal? I created a damn website to make it so simple.
Oh, yeah, your website. Your website where you make a percentage off all of it. Phil makes big money. If it's a $25,000 minimum, he makes big money off those flips.
For you. Answer questions, set up an appointment, take a phone call, done. Could all be done in a week. And yet a lot of you haven't done it. Goldquiz.com was the saving grace to help people save their wealth that they work so hard for. So I understand a lot of you can't get it out because of stupid illegal rules. You people will be safe. If you can't get it out, you'll be safe. But if you can and you don't, then hey, that onus is on you. But I don't know exactly when it'll be, of course, but I do think it'll be right around the same time as Trump sentencing and off to jail and all that stuff. You know, the country's just not going to stand for this. And when I say the country, I don't just mean the citizens and the patriots. I'm talking about the military and those that swore to protect the Constitution. Because right now the Constitution has been hijacked. If you go by what you see in mainstream media, obviously it's us that are pulling the strings to maneuver it and to, forge a pathway forward to get the evil, corrupt cabal out of our government and out of government worldwide. But that doesn't necessarily mean that, it had to happen this way. It just is happening this way. This one from Deb Newman. Have you heard about Abbott moving the stock market to Texas? I did. I've actually heard a lot of rumors about the stock market moving from New York to another state. Texas isn't the only state that I've heard of. There's been many, so I don't know exactly what's going to happen with that. I think it's just like a footnote in an ultimate story. I don't think it's really going to be anything that we have to concern ourselves about where it's going to be. I don't think anything like that is something we should be concerned about right now. I'm pretty sure you posted this almost 2 years ago. I can't post it all, but here's the beginning. Is this what you are predicting? Yes.
Wait, I mean, this report from June 2 days ago says they share Dr. Pepper sharing the spot with Pepsi. Dr. Pepper has emerged as the second favorite carbonated soft drink brand in the U.S., sharing the spot with Pepsi. The regular version of Dr. Pepper has risen to the position held by regular Pepsi for the past 40 years, the Wall Street Journal reported. Citing sales volume data from Beverage Digest, the Pepsi brand, which includes Diet Pepsi and Pepsi Zero Sugar, retained its position as America's second favorite carbonated beverage on an overall basis. Coca-Cola retained the top spot with twice the market share by volume compared with its competitors. Over the past 20 years, the growth of Dr. Pepper has been fueled by marketing investments, new flavor launches, and boost in distribution, the report added. The beverage brand is currently available on more soda fountains than any other soft drink in the U.S. Dr. Pepper ties Pepsi as nation's number 2.
You're going to post that big long article about the crash, 20% per day, and the banks in Europe are going to do this, and yeah, that's what I'm referring to. That's the script. How it got leaked, I have no idea. I didn't leak it. I posted it, but it wasn't leaked by me. Once it was out, I had the authority to share it, but somebody leaked it and they weren't supposed to. That was the script. That was the play-by-play of how and when and why the stock market will crash. So we already have the blueprint. We have the layout. We have the play-by-play from starting on Monday, going all the way up to the next Sunday. We've been given a peek behind the curtain, so to speak.
It's your loss if you don't buy Phil's silver. Yeah, good luck with that $300 an ounce.
So 98C, I know what you're referring to. I didn't see you post it here, but I know what you're referring to. And yes, that is the playbook. That is the script. That is the exact.
Mariah likes the new flavor, like the I don't know, strawberries and cream or something. Dr. Pepper.
Maybe it changed a little bit since then, but not much. I mean, the premise is still going to be exactly the same. Berkshire Hathaway had to halt trading the other day. You and friends were aware and involved in the test, perhaps. Let's just say I know what that was all about, and certain things have to go through a certain amount of testing, as you called it, before it could be actually enacted on a larger scale. I have a lot of friends that are involved in a lot of things. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But Berkshire Hathaway did suspend trading. Warren Buffett, obviously Berkshire Hathaway is Warren Buffett's company. Big things are happening, guys. I mean, the writing's on the wall. The writing is just all over the place. You don't have to like look for comms anymore. You just have to see what's happening in the world, because the way the mainstream media is reporting what's happening, they don't even know that's part of like a plan. It's part of disclosure to the masses. They don't even know that anymore. Somebody just said eBay stopped Amex payments too. Yeah, of course they did. I mean, it's everywhere.
The reason American Express payments stop so much is their processing fees. They're a lot more expensive than all the other card companies. I know that local, like mom and pop places, that won't even take American Express at all. When you have super slim margins already, and they're charging you even more fees, yeah, it's crazy.
Everywhere. This one from Vanity82. When a crash happens, many senior...
Phil teaches everyone else to make money like him. Don't be jealous. I got you.
Sorry. Still want to understand what's really going on. If they're still using a 401k for the retirement draws, will there be some sort of safeguard for them? All I can tell you is this. Well, first of all, I don't know. Okay, I don't want to pretend like I know. But I could tell you that many things have been talked about in terms of what to do for that elderly couple or that elderly lady or that elderly man that just doesn't have internet or can't afford internet or certainly doesn't listen to Phil on Rumble or DLive. So what about that person that we can't necessarily reach? You know, their son or their daughter go to them because they do follow Phil or whoever, and they still are resistant. They just won't do it. There have been things that have been talked about by the White House.
I think this went to the Supreme Court. Did American Express go to the Supreme Court over their merchant fees? And they said that American Express offers better benefits and shit and stuff to their customers, and they want to keep that loyalty of its card holders, and they're allowed, and it's their reward program, so they're allowed to pass that on to merchants or some shit like that.
Put some sort of contingency in place for those type of people. Are they going to do it? I don't know. I would think that it would be a nice gesture, of course, to do it, but I can't guarantee that they will. I see lots of reasons why they won't, and I see lots of reasons why they can't. But the humanity side of it, I see reasons why they would. Truthfully speaking, I don't know how they're going to handle that. I'm glad that other people have that decision to make other than me, because I don't want to make that decision. This one from Happily Venom. In your description of the week breakdown, how the market will crash, and the revealing info you posted Monday the 26th, then deleted the 26th. Should we all be looking at Monday, August 26th? Let me tell you this. If you asked me that question 6 months ago or a year ago, I would have said, no, I don't think you should be looking at August 26, 2024. But now, knowing...
Yeah, because for the last 4 years, you've been saying it's next month or next week or 2 months from now.
What's happening in July, which is happening with Trump, what's happening in July, you could kind of see now.
What do you think is going to happen there, Kristen? You say it's happening now. What? What's going to happen? Tell us what the world looks like in 6 months. We got the election coming up. Apparently, you're going to be a silver millionaire. What's going on? Where's Nisara Gassara that was supposed to be here 3 years ago? Where's Biden will never be in office? Where's Trump's coming back on March the 4th of 2021? Where is all this stuff?
With your own eyes, the White Hat's plan unfolding. Trump sentencing July 11th. Scheduled election November 2024.
Christmas in July.
Go back and you read that day-by-day breakdown of the stock market crashing of that week, like you just mentioned. It does say Monday the 26th. The next Monday the 26th coming up is in August, which just so happens to be right around the same time of things that we've been talking about. The Trump sentencing and so forth. So I don't know.
It's a month. It's over a month and a half after Trump's sentencing.
The original date was meant as that, and it still holds strong to today, but it certainly makes a lot of sense that it could be. Is it also possible that the original date that they had planned for this to go down has been moved?
Oh, she thinks Trump's still the president.
You know, I know it said Monday the 26th, but this was, think of it as like a...
Who's still in office is Biden, is what he's saying, you fucking retard.
a script of how it's going to go, but without certain dates. Maybe they were just saying, okay, well, if this happens then this could happen then.
You remember when all the right-wing people made fun of the liberals for saying Trump's not my president? And they're like, it doesn't matter. He's the president of the United States. You either live in the United States or you fucking move. Now they're like, Trump's my president, my secret, super secret president. He's mine. Which is the exact same thing as saying Biden's not my president that you made fun of. Oh, goddamn. I wish that you guys knew the definition of irony.
And then that would be...
Or hypocrisy.
August 26th. But doesn't necessarily have to be anymore. It could have changed by then. That's what I'm getting at. So we'll see. All right, we're going to go to our last topic of the night. And the number one voted topic for tonight's Q&A by my Telegram audience. By the way, guys, if you're not on Telegram, get on Telegram. Telegram is an excellent platform for people like me and for followers like you. A lot of people are forming little groups over there. Good friendships are being made. Like-minded people are there. You really feel at home with the people that I have on Telegram. So I'll put my link in the description of this Rumble video for the Telegram channel. Get over there, man. I'm telling you. You know what, before, let me do that right now. So.
They're all like that crazy lady crying on the street that everybody made fun of when Hillary lost, where she was like screaming and crying, laying on the ground. That's all of them now. My tables turn. What does Michael Scott say?
Hello.
Hi.
Michael Scott Paper Company to see Mr. David Wallace. I believe we're expected. Well, well, well. How the turntables.
That's you. Well, well, well. How the turntables. You got them. You got them, Kristen.
Don't forget, because I will forget. Okay, link is now, whoops, hold on. Okay, link.
I don't have to have faith. I can see the truth. I don't have to believe that everything's going on in the background. I can see what's actually going on. You shouldn't have to have faith in who is the real president. You should just be able to look it up.
Should now, you might have to refresh your screen, but the link now should be in the description for Telegram. Great place to be. So yeah, last category of the night is the continuity of government and the PED. The PED is the Presidential Emergency Action Document, which
oh my goodness,
a lot of in
the PED. Phil's covering the PED
in my live stream shows. So let's talk about questions regarding the PED.
You got Phil and you got the PED. Some people would say Phil, the PED. Oh, look, Kristen left another comment.
And the continuity of government plan that's in place. What do you guys want to know about that? And I'll answer these questions the best that I possibly could. Goldco is trying to sell me premium bullion versus common bullion at much higher prices. Why would I buy premium? Because the value is higher. So when that value, even when the spot price will always be the spot price, but you're always going to have numismatic value on top of the spot price. They're trying to set you up for success in the future. If they're recommending that you do that, do it. Because they're the experts on this, not us. They know things that...
I'm not a fan of either presidential candidate. But I really, 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 really want to see what all these grannies with their tennis balls on their walkers and their ARs locked and loaded do if Biden wins by an even larger margin this election. I'm so excited to see geriatric rampage. It'll be like if they let the purge happen only at nursing homes. I might go ride my one wheel through it and just treat it like bowling.
That we just don't know. And if you and the type of rollover that you're doing with Goldco, by the way, you get Goldco by going to goldquiz.com. If they're recommending you do that, then you do it. Don't question it. Get it done. It'll be well.
I have zero faith in anything. I think I am voting for entertainment at this point.
Worth it in the future. Does Trump need permission from the military to use the PED?
I'm black-pilled.
This is a complicated answer. The answer is yes.
They'll all take a shot glass full of baby aspirin. There'll be hard candy wrappers from here to fucking D.C. They'll never clean up all the fucking butterscotch litter.
But the way that the military is structured and the way that Trump initially needed permission, so to speak, to use the PED is not how it currently is. The structure has changed. So there are still avenues that have to be driven through to get down to the permission part of it. But for the most part, the PED has already been used. We're living through the PED. What hasn't been seen is the announcement of it.
Phil is living PED.
What hasn't been seen is the Trump getting up there in front of a microphone surrounded by military generals. Is Goldco available in Colorado? Yes, just go to goldquiz.com and they will help you out from there. Answer the quiz, like 5 questions on. So what we haven't seen is Trump standing on a podium surrounded by military generals and military higher-ups talking about continuity of government and the PED and what's happened since 2020. That's coming.
You followed a guy that's told you every other day for 4 years. It's here. It's happening right now. If you don't see it, I'd say it's all be wrapped up within a couple weeks. For 4 fucking years.
That's coming. It's coming to a TV screen near you. But he doesn't need permission to do that.
You all were a cash cow, and even though I think Phil has done some really shady shit to get your money, I'm starting to think y'all fucking deserve it.
Right now, it's kind of there's not one guy in charge. It's not Trump in charge of everybody. It's not one guy in the military in charge of everybody else in the military and in charge of Trump. It's not like that. It's not structured like that. It is one big solid group that are calling the shots. So he doesn't need permission to do certain things. Things are being done in the manner of which has a 100% success rate. They are not even leaving a half of 1% on the table in terms of possible failure. So next question. We're on continuity of government and the PED, which is the Presidential Emergency Action Document.
Only questions about the PED.
Is there an expiration date of the PED for the PED? And if so, how many times has the PED been extended, or is it just active until the state of emergency is lifted? Well, keep in mind, that's a good question, but keep in mind that our government was devolved. Our Constitution was suspended. We are no longer under the old rules and the old laws of the land that we used to be under. It's interesting that Biden keeps extending these states of emergency, and I think that's for other purposes. But once the emergency is declared and once the PED is put into effect, that's the date that you have to worry about. You don't have to worry about all of these other subsequent dates. Once it's acted upon, and once there's action involving the PED, and the PED is essentially executed, there's no more worrying about when it'll expire. That's the actionable date. Everything happens after that date, but it was already declared. So there's no expiration. That would only be if the PED was never declared. It was declared. The thing that is confusing is that we haven't heard from anyone in authority that it was declared. So we're operating under the assumption.
So we haven't heard that from anybody in authority that it was declared. We're just assuming it was because Phil told us it was.
There's a PED. Trump has it, and he hasn't acted on it yet. That's not true. He has acted on it. He devolved the government. This happened before the inauguration in 2021. So when you think of it on those lines, all those dates of expiration.
If you have family, they're all just as crazy as you, or they know that you're the crazy one. One of the two.
Extensions of the national emergency and all this is kind of irrelevant in many ways. Good question, Jeremy. Where are we here?
No one told us. No one with any authority ever told us. We just saw a red folder once, and everybody started saying the word PED. So now, PED.
Good question. We know we're in continuity of government. Has the PED been used or released yet, even in back channels? Kind of the same question that Jeremy just asked. Well, not really, but I answered it. Yeah, it's been enacted. It was enacted in early January of 2021, prior to January 6th. If you remember, Trump ended his, if you don't believe me, go back and look at this. Trump ended his New Year's Eve vacation early. Remember that? New Year's of 2021, New Year's Eve. He came back early, rushed back to the White House. No one ever knew why, right? It was because that week, the first week of 2021, was when the PED was executed. The White House got information that Mike Pence was not going to do what he agreed to do on the 6th. Mike Pence was interrogated, and the Presidential Emergency Action Document went into effect prior to January 6th, which the whole vote on January 6th ended up meaning nothing because the Constitution was already suspended. The government was in devolution. We weren't currently operating under anything because a foreign power, a foreign entity was trying to hijack our government.
Trump looks nothing like he did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 25 years ago.
So everything stops. Everything stops. Military law.
Had a little turkey neck removed, I think.
So that's when it was declared. And everything that you've seen since then is just, honestly, to prevent death, civil war, panic, economic collapse. This all has to be rolled out to the public in a gentle manner so that not everyone loses everything. And that's what they've been doing. I know a lot of us don't agree with it, but, it's how it is.
Thank you very much, Pam. I saw you left a donation as well. Q Idiot and Pam left donations through PayPal. Thank you.
Your swim shorts from Lisa. Your swim shorts had number 62 on them. Does that relate to the USS Fitzgerald DDG-62 Navy ship that was part of the Operation Valiant Shield? Demand 136, drop 60. I'm not going to read the rest. No, but my shorts unfortunately had absolutely no comment on them whatsoever. They were just shorts that I happened to buy here, and it could have been any number on them. I had to buy them. So excellent observation. I like when you guys do that. Even if you ask a question that ends up not going the way that you think it was going to go. I like the way that you think like that. I think that's a very impressive way path to go down, because a lot of times those type of comms do exist. Once the feed was issued, doesn't that pause all branches of...
Oh no. I think my review is live on Derek Johnson's new book. You guys want to read it with me? It says, successful, ? Reviewed in the United States on June 8, 2024 by Will Bird. Q-Tard Extraordinaire tells you how to make it big in the music industry, but also has to resort to selling you a $30 book because clearly he has had so much success. You couldn't make this up if you wanted to. Hey, Derek, explain the difference between a 3-rifle volley and a 21-gun salute. Which one do they all fire at once in only 3 separate volley fires? And should never be confused with a 21-gun salute. You know, the one fired and counted shot for shot with artillery? Asking for a friend who didn't spend his entire time in the military trying to get a medical discharge. Cough, cough. Derek, cough. Slick-sleeved, barely out of boot, one wounded warrior. But no war to be wounded in. Weird. I'm glad your grift finally got you out of your mama's house, though. Damn! They must be proud after all these years and years and years and years. Thank you very much, chat. A very succinct and accurate review of the book, The Royal Flush of Country Music by Derek Johnson. Damn, that was a good one. That was that was a good one. 12% 1-star reviews. Yeehaw. I kicked my dog because I got drunk. Locked my keys in my car trunk. Shaved my stash because it looked like a stain. Now my career has gone down the drain. But I'm country, not a bumpkin. Got no woman, so I married me a pumpkin. I'm skinny as a pole. Left the army cause my leg was swole. Oh no. Thank you. Thank you very much. No, Derek. Do I have to explain how the Derek Johnson situation where he's a public figure begging for reviews and trying to manipulate the system on Amazon is different from Pebbles, a private citizen who never engaged with Phil whatsoever online, and Phil said his audience. Do I have to explain that again for the striped, large, pink-centered fruit in the background? No? Okay.
The government until the deed is rescinded. Not sure how anything the Supreme Court rules on since then would be anything other than theater. Absolutely correct, except, first of all, it does suspend everything. So the all government ceases. There's nothing that any branch of government could do. Congress, Supreme Court, executive branch, there's nothing that any branch could do that holds any kind of weight or basically renders those branches.
Q-Tartians? Q-Tartarians? Tartarians.
Branches of government useless. And what happens is the military comes in following continuity of government rollout plan that has been written for situations like this. Now, here's where your question is, here's what you're assuming about the Supreme Court is incorrect. The Presidential Emergency Action Document could grant authority for a very limited number of authorizations.
Limited number of what?
On certain topics. So if the military came in and said, well, regarding the election fraud, we're going to entrust the Supreme Court to handle this one matter, and that's it, for purposes of whatever. Now, did they do that? I don't know. But I have had intel since July of 2022 that said the Supreme Court has overruled the state's electoral ballot and reversed the outcome of the 2020 election. That was in July of 22. So the peak was put into effect
In July of 22, he told you the Supreme Court had reversed the election, declared Trump the winner. He would be back in office as soon as the Supreme Court justices were safe. They could have been secured within the day. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Now he's saying Trump will have to run again? Why? The Supreme Court already made him president.
In January of 21, first week of January, and by July, sometime before July of 2022, we had the Supreme Court making a decision. So something about the permission that the Supreme Court was granted to do that particular
tackling cunt, I agree.
Someone had some authority to do something in regards to that. Who? Why? When was it implemented? I don't know those answers. So when the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago, were they looking for the PED? Yes, and other documents. But yes, that was one of them. And the reason is panic. Even if they had the document, it wouldn't have changed anything. It would have just showed the black hats who was in control of what. So basically what they were doing was they were trying to get a peek behind the curtain of the PED so they could try to go and corrupt those that were in key positions to make decisions, because the black hats were operating blind.
I think it's funny all the times. I just saw somebody making a joke over on Rumble. All the times they tried to say that Trump had exactly 17 flags, and they would literally just crop the photo to where there was 17 in there. Sometimes he had fucking 40. But as long as they could crop the photo to where there's 17 flags in there, like, look, it's a calm!
They didn't know who was in control of this, who was in control of that. It was all a major secret. They knew Trump. And then from there, they could assume who was with them and who was against them. These white hats that were in the military.
Get it, Kristen. After you start a 12-gauge shotgun, when Biden wins again, could I have some of your silver to make a grill? You can get back to me on that.
Didn't act like white hats. They were doing these things behind the scene, but to their colleagues who were black hats, or maybe who most of the people know nothing about any of this, both in the military and in the public, just like most people don't know what's going on. Those people who were actually in prime positions to execute the orders of the emergency action document weren't known to their colleagues. They weren't known. They were operating in complete clandestine fashion for years now. So the black hats raid on Mar-a-Lago was to reveal who the actors were. Who is doing this? Who is doing that? And then they were going to try to what? I don't know, corrupt them, assassinate them, kidnap their family. I don't know what the plan was for those people, but they didn't get the document anyway, so it doesn't matter. Trump is literally always 10 steps ahead. Excellent question, though. Let's take one more. So if the PED suspended government, why are we still paying taxes? First of all, taxes are voluntary. So if you're still paying them, you are volunteering your duty to pay them. Second of all, even if you have paid them, you are not, well, let me just say this. The information that I have says that if you're paying taxes, or if you have paid taxes, you will be reimbursed for the illegal taxes that you have paid throughout your lifetime. Certain stipulations apply. I don't know what the stipulations are, but even if you are paying them right now, if everything goes according to the intel that I have with me right now, that's not, you're going to be reimbursed anyway. And that's assuming that you're paying them. Many people have realized that if you read, people are asking, how are they voluntary? Go read it. Go read what it says about paying taxes. Read it line for line.
Voluntary, but Phil has been ordered multiple times in court to pay his taxes, and he has. So it's weird they're voluntary, but he keeps paying them when the IRS shows up and says, hey, U.S. taxes plus court costs plus fees plus, yeah, weird.
I'll post it on Telegram later for you guys to read it. But just go read it. Voluntary. Why? Because they can't legally make you pay them. Because you're paying taxes, and taxes aren't even going to your government. They're going to a foreign entity. You are literally paying taxes to a foreign entity. Taxes come out automatically. Well, that's illegal. That is illegal. They cannot take your money for something voluntary.
It's illegal.
It's the corrupt system that we live in, and it all has to get burned to the ground. And it is getting burned to the ground. You're witnessing the burning to the ground. All right, guys, that was fun. We did 5 really good topics. A lot of good information came out tonight. I think everybody is on the same intel level right now.
Objection.
Since the Trump sentencing. And I think, you know, even though a lot of the things that I talked about tonight, I'm not 100% sure of, everything still lines up pretty nicely when you look at the overall scope of what's been happening here. So really good questions tonight. I like this format quite a bit, the structured format. I like it quite a bit.
The requirement to pay taxes is not voluntary and is clearly set forth in Section 1 of the Internal Revenue Code, which imposes a tax on the taxable income of individuals, estates, and trusts as determined by the table set forth in that section. Section 11 imposes a tax on taxable income of corporations. Furthermore, the obligation to pay taxes is described in Section 6151, which requires taxpayers to submit payment with their tax returns. Failure to pay taxes could subject non-complying individual to criminal penalties, including fines and imprisonment, as well as civil penalties. In discussing Section 6151, the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals stated, when a tax return is required to be filed, the person so required shall pay taxes to the Internal Revenue Officer and with whom the return is filed at at the fixed time and place. The Section Internal Revenue Code imposed a duty on DREFC to file tax returns and pay the tax duty, which he chose to ignore. United States versus DREFC 707 F.2D 978-981, 8th Circuit Court, 1983.
It keeps us from asking asinine questions, and it keeps us focused on certain topics. And now when we do that, a lot of intel, a lot of explanation, a lot of education comes out of a Q&A like this. So thank you all for the happy anniversary wishes. Yesterday was my 1-year anniversary with Carrie. We're having a great time down here in Jamaica, very, very relaxing. Jamaica's a beautiful country, and we did some awesome things down here. So I hope you guys saw the pictures that I posted on Telegram. There's a lot on Facebook that Carrie and I have been posting as well. So check them out. We'll be back stateside, I don't know, sometime next week, I think. And I encourage everybody to if you're watching on Rumble, hit the thumbs up on Rumble. That'll help share the algorithm. Definitely get your ass to goldquiz.com and get that IRA out of the stock market or the 401k, or even if you have a large amount of cash, knowing that the dollar is being devalued as much as it is. Go to goldquiz.com, they'll do an EFT transfer, and they'll send you metals right away. So thank you guys for tuning in. Love you guys. I will be live. I don't know when I'll be live next.
I mean, Phil lives better than I do, right? So maybe it's time to get in on the grift.
But just look for an announcement on Telegram. I'll have that within the next day or two. Love you guys. See you soon.
If you don't want to die
from
diabetes.
I don't want to die from diabetes. I don't want to die from diabetes. Sorry, I let the video play. That's Phil Godlewski, everybody. He may be dead. I don't know. But now we know where he stands. Taxes are voluntary. It's happening any day now. I think this is a good exercise in trying to see how you look back, you'll see a story that finally hits the news. Someone was murdered or abused or a nightmare or kidnapped. And you always think, how in the world did that person get strung along that far? Like they made all these poor decisions that led them to a position they're in. And maybe it wasn't their fault. Maybe they were murdered. But they made a bunch of poor decisions, like meeting a random person online and just trusting that, the butcher knife he had in his back seat was because they were having steak tomorrow at his office and, shit like that. But this is a good study in how far you can string people along. For 4 years, he's been confusing his own stories, his own lies. He started out as just a guy. I'm just a guy just like you. And I'm just wondering what's going on. Then suddenly he started doing Q after he asked other people, what is this Q thing? I've never heard of it. Should I start covering it? He starts covering it. Then he's part of Q. Then he's the leader of Q. Then he's been around since 2017. Now he's the head of the 5. He makes the 6. He's the boy who lived. Harry Potter reference. He's also Edward Snowden. He's secret intel. He's got a bunch of NDAs, but he can't produce a single fucking one when ordered by the court. It's just so weird that he can just keep going. And people are like, I love Phil and God and silver. I want a statue of Phil as baby Jesus cast in silver. Like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Just wild. Oh my God, the secretary at the office had a son with steak knife in the car alibi and murdered someone. Oh no. It's just wild. If you want to invest in silver, there's nothing wrong investing in silver and gold. Now, don't think that it's going to go from $30 an ounce to $5,000 an ounce or whatever. It's not going to. It's going to go up slowly. It's going to go down slowly. It's a stable product, though. But go buy bullion and buy enough of it and probably do you don't want to pay the crazy fees because at 30 cents or $30 an ounce, those fees really add up if you pay by a debit card or credit card or PayPal. Try to do a wire transfer, get it as cheap as you can so you know what you're in at. You know that you're in at $29.97 an ounce. And if it goes up, it goes up. If it goes down, it goes down. It's not going any of those. Oh no. Brad Barton is the dumbest motherfucker that I've ever had the privilege to meet, ever. He's far from being a dumbass. It's not what Rita Big Thumbs told me. Okay? It's a good long-term investment. It's a good stable investment. There's nothing wrong with it. Be like investing in a blue chip company, right? Blue chip stocks that aren't going to make gigantic moves, but at least you know you'll be around there at some point, right? You're not going to lose a ton. You're not going to make a ton either, but it kind of shores up your money. It diversifies. That's what we're talking about. There's nothing wrong with investing in gold and silver. It's just not a get-rich-quick scheme, and it hasn't been for a long time. All right, guys, thank you for joining us. Support the show. Coldbeer.fund, coldbeer.fund. If you want to keep it going, thank you for joining us. Follow us on some other platforms. I think I'm going to start making more TikTok content. I think that's my new thing. I'm going to have to take some days off to get my other channel started up and going. Thank you for being patrons, Twitch subscribers. Thank you for the support, the donations that came in tonight. I greatly appreciate it. Kristen, send me some silver, or leave it in your will, or whatever you plan on doing after the election, and I will get that. I might have to rob a jewelry store, but they're gonna make me a grill. In your will, please say I leave. I don't know, 30 ounces of silver to Will Bird from Cold Beer Confessional, and then put "Smile for me, Daddy." I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for your contribution. See you guys on the next one.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the fork and balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell
Smile for me, Daddy. I want to see your beef flaps.
Balls.
Okay, Scott.
Here we go. I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the
Clearly.
best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen nothing yet. Here we go, I think I started.
Yeah, I think high prices, the economy and stuff. More people. I need to start starting earlier so we get a bigger chunk of our audience back. But it's affected the show negatively for sure. I want to get something else going because it seems like the quicker we race towards the post-election, the election will be big time coverage leading up to the election. Who's going to win? All the stories that come out, you know. But post-election, it's going to die off pretty quick. I don't think the Q-tarts have a leg to stand on post-election. So we'll see. I want to get the maker, creator, building, doing stuff that I promised my dad I'd do. I want to get that channel off the ground definitely before the election's over. I would like to have it up within the next couple weeks to a month, hopefully. At least one video up. If I had my choice, I would just stop doing everything and have 3 videos ready to go. That way I'm already ahead and start putting out one a week over there and then streaming while I'm working on stuff or programming or building or whatever. I can live stream from my phone. Talk about what we're doing or welding or building or programming an Arduino or whatever and go from there. We'll see. Hope you enjoyed the show. Have a good night. Glad to see Austin back, or at least Legend pretending to be Austin. Thank you.
I strapped it to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16. High on amphetamine with trumpet between.